Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexiot's here. It's Thursday. We're going to play the Timberwolves tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern in Minnesota. And March has not been kind to the Raptors team at all this year so far. And I hate it. It sucks. We lost to the Knicks, and we lost both our 905 games so far this month. And there have been frustrating losses, all three of them. Rout on Sunday at the game I went to at Paramount Five Food Center. Mostly well played game against the Knicks, and then crumble at the end. And then yesterday, the 905 game was just as frustrating with a close game. If they had managed it a little bit better in the morning, they could have won their game. But it actually is crazy. Like, I don't know how this happens, but often what's happening with the Raptors, Toronto Raptors, is happening with the Raptors 905. They mirror each other. It's very strange. And the way the Raptors lost the Knicks Tuesday night was very similar to how the Raptors 905 lost to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers yesterday morning. It's a case where horrible, careless turnovers and missed free throws, just dumb mistakes like the Raptors did to New York on Tuesday happened to the 905 too, and you lose the game by just a few points, and it just looks stupid because they did lose by 3, and they could have won the game if they cleaned up things just a little bit better. Whether it's a bad turnover, a 8-second call by half court, they had one of those yesterday, just like Brandon had in the New York game. Just dumb stuff like that. A lot of missed free throws for the 905. But we'll go over that game for the 905 and the Vipers in a bit. We'll do the preview for tonight first. We got some interesting refs tonight. And we got to go over the latest lineup news right now. So, let's go check it. We got news yesterday that Brandon did get hit on the thumb against the Knicks on Tuesday night, and he is questionable today. So Brandon Ingram is questionable for tonight's game with a left thumb strain. So it is the chance that Brandon's going to miss his second game of the season tonight playing against the Timberwolves. And that's not ideal considering the Timberwolves are a top team, and this is another huge test for us. And we need our best offensive scorer to be available, but he very well may not be playing today. Collins already ruled out, guys. Colin Murray-Boyles with his thumb problem. He has a left thumb strain also. They have the same injury. He is out already, ruled out for today. No Colin Murray-Boyles return today. And Chucky is still out also. Chucky is still out with his injury. So if no BI, who should we be starting then today? Well, it's likely to be a Jacoby barbecue yak is what I'm thinking. Yeah, barbecue Jacoby yak. I guess that's what I could call it. The barbecue Jacoby yak. Quickly, Barrett, Barnes, Jacoby, and Jakopel to start, because it seems like Jacoby is the sixth man most likely to jump in the starting lineup when people are missing. So they could also go big and put Sandro in the starting lineup just to deal with the size of the Timberwolves, which is not a bad idea either. So, I think it's likely it's going to be either Walter or Mamu that comes into the starting lineup with Brandon possibly not showing up. We'll have to see. Yeah, the ESPN matchup predictor has got us. Yeah, it's not very good. They've got the Timberwolves 67% to win. 67% for the Timberwolves to win today. And well, the way we've been playing against top teams and them having home court advantage, I'm not surprised by this percentage. Not surprised. On the other side of things, Minnesota Timberwolves are listing one person out for today, and it's due to personal reasons, and that is Australian Nick Nurse, Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is not available for the Timberwolves tonight for personal reasons. Okay. And well, who are the Timberwolves? We saw them last month in Toronto, and we lost to them in a game that possibly we could have won. These are the players: Dante DiVincenzo, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, and Rudy Gobert, the starting lineup for Chris Finch's Minnesota team. Off the bench, Bones Highland, Ayo Dosunmu is on this team now after the trade deadline. Terrence Shannon Jr., Kyle Anderson has circled back and returned to the Timberwolves. After being around the league in a couple places with Miami and the Warriors, he got traded back to Minnesota. And it was funny. I think it was Rudy Gobert was quoted as saying, "I'm so glad to have Kyle back, Kyle Anderson, because he's like one of the only guys on this team that will pass the ball." That's Rudy Gobert. He said that. Naz Reid, of course, is the backup center. He's annoying. Mike Conley is still on this team, and he is healthy, so we could see the grizzled vet Mike Conley today. Joan Berenguer is a rookie on the other end of his career from Mike Conley. The French center was somebody I wanted the Raptors to draft last year in the second round. I wish they had. Let's see, Jalen Clark, Julian Phillips, Zion Pullen, Enrique Freeman, and Rocco Zerkowski, another big center that they drafted that I had recommended to the Raptors. So they got 2 of my draft picks for center on the Timberwolves. So they got lots of size on that side of on their team, stuff like that. Yeah, they've been winning lately. They have been on a bit of a roll. They have won 7 out of their last 8 games with a single loss to Philadelphia wedged in the middle of it. They've been beating quality teams. They beat the Denver Nuggets, they beat the Dallas Mavericks, and they beat the Clippers during this 7-game stretch. So 8-game stretch. So 7 of 8 is they've won last 7 of their 8 games. Wow, that's a lot of winning. And well, they're going to be a tough team to beat today. Yeah. Oh, man. This is going to be, the way I look at it is this. The Raptors, you have nothing to lose. I'd say 2 things. Y'all need to play as perfect as possible. Y'all have played sloppily in games recently. In fact, if you had played a little bit more tightened up against the Knicks, you possibly could have beat them. So y'all need to tighten up and just give it your best shot. It may be very tough to beat the Timberwolves today, but who knows? Fuck around and find out. Go to the game, play your best, and see if you can figure it out on how to beat them today. Seriously. Just try your ass off. Communicate. Move. Make second, third, fourth effort. You guys go once at going to get the ball and then you give up. Fuck that. I want you guys to be relentless and go and give fourth and fifth effort on possessions and plays. No more standing around watching something go by while you're standing there. Somebody else is going to get it because you're just fucking standing there. It's like, make your free throws, stop passing shitty passes, and pay attention to things like the 5-second clock, the inbounds, and the 8-second clock to get across half court, and other dumb stuff like that. 3 seconds in the lane and all that kind of stuff. Seriously, just tighten up. Can't play with any mistakes. This is the biggest problem right now with us that separates us from the top tier of teams and being just below those tier teams and not being able to beat them is that we don't play ethical basketball with playing polished, no mistake basketball, because that's what you're going to need if you're going to beat teams in the Eastern Conference final playoffs. You're going to need to clean up and play a whole different kind of way just to be able to try and compete with them. This ain't gonna cut it. The polish of the team is not very good right now, and y'all need to play more professionally. That's what I'm saying right now. This is a big deal, and I think communication's where it starts, Raptors, whether it's on offense or defense, and have a plan. Figure out what you're doing. Sometimes improvising on the fly and trying to do things without kind of understanding what your ultimate goal is, you're gonna get nowhere. So seriously, work with your coach Darko, your leaders on your team, and figure out what you're trying to do every possession and go and execute it aggressively and stop wasting your time and messing up. The referees for today, let's go look at it. Replay center's got JT Orr, Danielle Scott, and Murat Kogut. I don't like Murat being in the replay center. That means that the replay center is not nice. JT Orr is cool. Maybe he'll be watching our game more than Murat. We've got 2 refs today that we have not seen referee our team this year yet. And this will be the first games this season for them. And the crew chief today is our old friend, Ben Taylor. That's right. Ben Taylor is the crew chief today, number 46 in his 13th season out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. His favorite TV show is The West Wing. He likes the Kevin Costner film, Field of Dreams. He listens to Brian McKnight. His favorite book is Mitch Rapp. He likes ribeye steaks. He uses TripIt as an app. He wants to go to Scotland. He wants to play golf at Augusta National, and his hidden talent is dancing. Ben Taylor has officiated 668 regular season games in 12 seasons as an NBA staff official. He has also worked 49 playoff games, including one NBA Finals game. Yeah, Ben Taylor, guys. You know, Ben gets a bad rap with us because of that incident a couple years ago where he was, a really bad ref on that particular night. But overall, Ben Taylor has been a very friendly ref to the Toronto Raptors in their history. We win 60% of our games with Ben. That's 59.6. 60% of our games. And he is a top 10 ref for the Raptors in this league. We have not seen him this year. This will be the first time that he referees a Raptor game this year. And the Timberwolves, they win 48% of their games when Ben Taylor's present. So 60 to 48 for the Raptors is the split with crew chief Ben Taylor of Tennessee. So yeah, the second ref today is somebody we've seen once this year, and that's Sean Corbin, number 33 out of Baltimore, Maryland, his 31st season. He's been refereeing as long as the Raptors have existed. His favorite TV show is Mission Impossible. He likes the Godfather movies. He listens to Huge Groove. His favorite book is Why Does Everything Have to Be About Race? His favorite meal is steak and lobster. His favorite app is News. He'd most like to visit Singapore. His bucket list is to drive cross country in an RV, and his hidden talent is cooking. Sean Corbin considers his most memorable NBA assignment to be a triple overtime game between the Boston Celtics and the Vancouver Grizzlies on February 17th, 1999. Wow. Yeah, we've seen Sean once this year. We did win that game. We are winning 54% with Sean Corbin in the 31 years. That's a really good percentage considering he's refereed the whole entire history of the Raptors, the expansion years and all the dark years at different times. And we win 54% of our games, which is well higher than our team's average for the history, which is like our average right now is 47%. So we win 54%, and that's above. So he's been a ref that's been kind to us. On the other side, the Timberwolves only win 44%. So 54 to 44 for the Raptors with the second ref, Sean Corbin. And he's been refereeing both franchises pretty much since they've existed. Simone Jelks is the third ref today. She has not reffed a game for us this year. She's out of Cleveland, Ohio in her sixth season, number 81. Her favorite TV show is The Handmaid's Tale. Yikes. Favorite movie, Love and Basketball. Her favorite musician, J. Cole. She likes the Bible. She likes collard greens and peach cobbler. Her favorite app is Skylight. She'd most like to visit Africa, and her hidden talent is spoken word poetry. Simone Jelks has officiated 88 regular season games in 5 seasons as an NBA staff official. She's at the bottom of the list. Ben Taylor is a top 10 ref. Simone is a bottom 5 ref. We have one of the worst percentages with her. We have a 27% winning percentage with Simone. She is in the black zone, which is the very bottom zone on my spreadsheet that goes all the way up to purple and pink at the top. And she's in the bottom. She's below Marat Kugat. It's crazy. Yeah. But the Timberwolves are even worse, which is crazy. They win 14%. This is one of the lowest percentages I've ever seen of winning with a referee. 14%. So it's 27 to 14. Really low winning percentages for both teams with the third ref, Simone. We're favored by all 3 refs. But in some ways, the ref report is deceiving today because the Minnesota Timberwolves were a bad team for most of their existence. So they've lost a lot. So they have bad winning percentages. But right now, they're a very good team. In fact, they may be the best they've been in their franchise history right now. Let's be honest. Chris Finch has done a fantastic job with the Timberwolves since he took the coaching job. And they have been on the up and up, going up since. And honestly, this may be the best Minnesota Timberwolves team ever in the history of their franchise right now. I could say that. Seriously. It's like that. So there's your ref report. All 3 refs favor the Raptors, and two of them we haven't seen yet this year. This will be the first time we see them in referee games, Simone and Ben Taylor. Yeah. So, yeah, there's your ref report right there. All right, let's check in with the chat, see what you guys are saying this morning. Of course, Trevor J's in first. The words of wisdom. Don't forget what inside you is built tougher than anything trying to take you out. That's interesting. I hope so. I don't know, man. Don't forget what's inside you. What is inside you is built tougher than anything trying to take you out. I hope so. There's different levels of fortitude and things that we can dig deep into and utilize in times of trouble. You'd be shocked. This is how women lift cars to get the car off their baby, stuff like that. You go to these inner recesses of strength and power or fortitude or even just determination, and you can do superhuman things. Honestly, it's actually crazy. Yeah, I've heard crazy stories about ordinary people lifting cars to get them off of people just because they really want to. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Trevor J. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak families. Trevor's saying, happy game day. Let's get this win tonight. Yeah, I was pissed last night, man. I was looking at the standings this morning. I'm like, whoa, wait, how did Philadelphia win last night? They were losing to Utah the whole night. And then they came back and beat the Jazz at the end. I feel like this is a combination of two things. I feel like this was the Jazz are still actively trying to tank, even though they got punished for it. And also, the Sixers are getting help to try and win because in some ways they want them to possibly pass us in the standings. If we get past, which I don't want to happen, that means we would probably play the Knicks in the first round. And that's not exactly what we want. I'd much rather play the Cavs in the first round than the Knicks. Yeah, let's see what else Trevor's saying. Oklahoma City beat New York last night, and the Hornets beat the Celtics. Yeah, those are good outcomes that I like, both of those, because our Atlantic Division opponents both got losses last night. A 3-point win for the Thunder on the second night of a back-to-back for the Knicks against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And SGA, fantastic. Good job. I'm so happy about this. Good job, Thunder. And kick that ass. And the Hornets continue to surge up, and they routed the Celtics. They didn't just beat the Celtics. They mopped the floor with the Celtics, made them look awful, and routed them out. So it really is looking like the Hornets are really progressing fast this season in the rookie year of Con Knipple. They are really surging. Let's just put it that way. Trevor J saying that Mike Brown called out SGA after the loss. He does a great job convincing the refs better than anybody in the league to give him the foul calls. What is he doing? Complimenting him? What are you doing? Whining? What are you doing, Mike Brown? Yeah, this is true. He does do a good job of getting fouls off the refs. Are you complaining about it, or are you giving him praise? Because there's nothing he's doing that's wrong. And if you're whining about it, well, what the fuck, man? You shouldn't be doing that. Just play the game. And well, your guys get all kinds of weird favors and calls. So don't fucking complain, Mike Brown, you piece of shit. Just fucking compliment him, okay? Yeah, he is good at getting calls from the refs. That is true. There's nothing wrong with what you said unless you're complaining about it. If it's a compliment, well, that's a great compliment. Yeah, he's really good at drawing fouls. There's nothing he's doing that's wrong. You get people around the league says so much shit about SGA and his foul baiting. There's nothing he's doing that's wrong. And once again, I'll say my source is Scotty Barnes because he's in the NBA. He watches the NBA. He plays in the NBA. He knows basketball. And I've sat on Twitch with Scotty, watched SGA highlights, and Scotty basically breaks down that saying nothing Shea is doing is wrong. He's just really good at what he does. That is a foul. There's not any kind of weird shenanigans where he's a foul baiter. No, he's that good. So Mike Brown, are you complaining or is that a compliment? To me, I'll say it's a compliment. Yeah, he is good at drawing fouls. That's what you're trying to say? Okay, we'll leave it at that then. Yeah, he is good at that. Yeah. Superfan Mo saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Happy game day. Can we get back to winning again? Yeah, this has been a shitty month so far. 0-3 for the two Raptors teams so far this month. And tonight may not be the win yet. And so we may start 0-4 for the month. Now, tomorrow we'll play the Rio Grande Valley Vipers once again at 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, and get another chance to try and get that W. But man, I hope we can get it tonight. Tonight would be a surprise W if we beat the Timberwolves, to be honest, because we're on the road, and in some ways, that would be the Raptors going above and beyond and doing something like when they beat Oklahoma City in Oklahoma City. And I want that so bad. Yeah, I was wondering where you were in the chat yesterday. I figured that, you were busy. You said you had errands. Yeah, it's crazy. This game yesterday, David Roddy returned from Team USA Select to play for Raptors 905 and played a hell of a game. He was battling in there. He was our best player. He's my number one star of the game for the 905 game. But an hour after they played that game, we got word that David Roddy's been called up to play for the Denver Nuggets on a two-way. So this is the third 905 player in the past week that has been signed to a two-way away from the Raptors 905 and Drew Jones. This is just like Shamshay getting hurt last year, where there's a turning point in the season where things kind of go south because there's a drain. You lose something. And Shamshay was our defense last year. And when Shamshay got ran into by Kennedy Chandler and messed up his leg and couldn't play for the rest of the 905 season, we didn't win but one game after that for the rest of the year. Well, this is the difficult part of the season where 905 has a war of attrition, where they're getting punished for being so good, because that's what this is. It's not really a punishment. We're successful. This is a sign of success that we have three players from the 905 that got signed outright to two ways. These aren't even 10-day contracts. That's like Mo Bamba stuff. Mo Bamba got a 10-day contract from the Utah Jazz. No, these are two ways. That means that they're investing in these three guys long term and that they will be on their teams next year, probably, unless they switch the two-way off of them. And that is Julian Reese to the Washington Wizards, Olivier Sarr to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and David Roddy to the Denver Nuggets. And, we can't get mad at this. Trevor gets a little mad about this. He thinks it's a conspiracy to hurt our 905 team. No, that's not what it is, Trevor. This is success. This is what 905 success looks like, is that you lose your best players because there's teams in the league that want them. And if we think about how the season started with Olivier Sarr and David Roddy in the Raptors training camp, these guys were on the cusp of the depth chart to be just barely almost in making the NBA. And well, they have now. David Roddy and Olivier Sarr and Julian Reese, all three of them worked so hard this season on 905 and improving their games, and the results show. And that's why they're getting called up. David Roddy gets the reward of going to play with Nikola Jokic now and Jamal Murray and getting a chance to maybe help them in their playoff run. If he does certain things right, he could get converted and be in the playoffs and playing for them this year. And that's the dream of what these guys wanted. Roddy wants to play in the NBA. That's why he came to Toronto to our training camp and then played for Raptors 905 in Mississauga. So mission accomplished. David's getting what he wants. In some ways, it guts our team, our 905 team, but in some ways, that wasn't the whole point of this in any way. There's different goals with the G League team. There's the goal of trying to win the tip-off tournament and the regular season championship. There's also the goal of developing your players and having them get better and better so that they get snatched up. There's also the goal of supplementing talent and helping the Raptors organization, the Toronto Raptors themselves. So there's a three-pronged thing. And well, one of the prongs we're being really successful in is getting these guys better. And now other teams are calling and they're snatching them. I don't think that we're going to have any more guys get called up like this. These are the three that I thought would get called up this year. Actually, I wasn't sure about Olivier, but I was pretty positive about Reese and Roddy, that they were going to get called up at some time this season from watching 905 all year. But yeah, the success of the Raptors 905, who were 30-10 just a little bit ago, are now 30-12 overall. This is overall for the whole year. I think they're actually 30-14 or something now. Their record isn't as good as it was before. Well, it's going to be hard sledding for them going forward because they keep losing their best bigs. And that's the thing. Olivier was the only true center on the team. Julian Reese was a real power forward, and David Roddy was one of the strongest players on our team. And now, we get Tyrese Samuel to come in the Canadian from the Vancouver Bandits. And that's a great ad, but we need to add another guy now too, because the guys just keep going. And the part of the problem is we've built chemistry with these players, and now we have to start over with new guys all of a sudden near this end run to the playoffs. And Drew Jones has a tall order, a tall challenge to do that, but he's willing to do it, and he understands the assignment, and he's got to go forward with whoever he has. That's just how it is. So we should have another player, another new player named in the next day or so, maybe even today. And tomorrow, we'll just have to keep picking up the pieces and keep going forward. That these guys are never really ours. We have to understand this on the G League. The only guys that are ours are the two ways and the guys on assignment, like Jonathan Mobo. These guys have roster spots. But everybody else on that team was on showcase for the whole entire league to come and snatch up at any time. And that's the way for us on going the other ways too. We can go look at any other G League team, and if they have a player that we liked and we wanted to sign them to a two-way, we could. The deadline for two-way stuff was yesterday, and Bobby did do nothing. And I'm not surprised because Blake warned us that this was going to happen. Blake Murphy's saying that the two-way deadline is coming, and he doesn't expect Bobby to do anything, and that's exactly what happened. And he's speculating that it's for financial reasons. I'm going to say this right now. I think that in some ways, yes, one of the things that we worried about with the ownership change to Ed Rogers III is happening. He's a cheapskate. And in some ways, he's cheaping out on a couple different things, whether it's, positions around the broadcast or just people involved in the Raptors, like Masai being let go. He's trying to cheap out and cut costs. And one of the ways he could be cutting costs is he may be handcuffing Bobby on his leeway or ability to do certain things financially because he has targets for him to hit on the salary cap and different things like that. So, some people may get mad at Bobby Webster right now because they think he's not doing anything, but he may not be allowed to. And we need to realize that. If I was Bobby Webster right now, what I would do, and I hate to say it, is I would cut Chucky and I would have put that two-way on Julian before he left, but it's too late now. Julian's on his hometown team, the Washington Wizards. I would like to get a third two-way that's ready to play. Now, Chucky's getting close to returning, so maybe he will be able to show up at the end of the season and pick up some of the pieces and still have a bit more of his rookie year. I have to speculate that that's probably what's going to happen if they're going to just hold him on this two-way this whole time. It'd be stupid to hold his spot with him the whole time, and then he comes back, and then we switch to two-way then. What is this? I feel like we could utilize our two ways better. And also, I don't like that all three of our two ways are guards. I think that that's poor management too. I think diversification of position on the 3 two-way slots is smarter in the future. And I think that that means you should have a big man on one of those 3 two-ways. And that was fine last year with Shamshay. But this year, AJ Lawson, Elijah Martin, Chucky Hepburn, those are 3 guards. And I like a little bit more diversification in the pantry for talent that can be derived towards the Toronto Raptors. So, yeah, this situation is not ideal for Drew Jones, but it is the way it works. And, if you guys have high expectations for the Raptors 905 going out the rest of the season to win the playoffs and do all this stuff, let them go. Let them go. Because they're going to have a hard time just winning games going forward now. Because 3 of their best players that helped them win a lot of the games this year are gone. They're gone. And they're not coming back. It'd be different if they were signed to 10 days like Reggie Perry was a couple years ago. Reggie Perry got signed to the Portland Trailblazers right when we were making our playoff run, and it really hurt our playoff run to get anywhere in the G League playoffs that year. But he came back because it was a 10-day. These are not 10 days. All 3 of the players that got snatched up from 905 got two-way contracts. And that means there's not a return coming. They're going to be with their teams for the rest of the year. And that in some ways, that's different. Some guys will get called up. Now, that's a symbol of success. I don't know how many guys around the league just got called up to 2 ways or 10 days. But I'll bet most of the G League teams didn't have 3 guys get 3 two-ways. Maybe a team got a guy signed up for a 10-day, one guy. Maybe another team got one guy got signed up for a two-way, one guy got signed up for a 10-day, but three players for three two-ways. That is honestly, in some ways, a badge and a medal of success for the Raptors organization and Drew Jones and his coaching staff. So we can look at it a couple different ways. It's not that the league's out to get us on this. It's just that we are so successful, they want our players. And that's what it is right there. Yeah, James is here. Good morning, Raptor Freak James. Good to see you, man. Lex, you got it. The matchup of the week. Big game. Yeah, me and HC in the fantasy right now. The one defeated versus old Lex, the commish. And I've got the early lead right now. Checking in on a Raptor Freak Yahoo Fantasy Basketball League. I've got about a 100-point lead over HC right now, who's the number one team in the league. And, well, I'm going to try and take it to the limit. I even messed up this week. The second day of this week, I didn't set my lineup and I missed out on some points. And this is like the only time I've done this all season. I think there's twice I've done this. I've been so diligent with my fantasy team, but for some reason I was asleep at the wheel. I may have even told y'all, check on your fantasy teams, get them set up. And I didn't do it on Tuesday, but I'm still ahead of him right now. But yeah, this is a marquee matchup for sure. I can see that James is on up against Kareem this week, and he's in second. I think James is rooting for me. That's why he's saying this. He's like, man, you got the matchup of the week, big game. James is second in the league, and HC is number one. And if I beat HC, James has a possibility of becoming the number one team in the league. So I see what's going on here, James. You want old Lex to do you solid, huh? I'm going to say this. OKC, Timberwolves, Spurs, Nuggets are the top of the West. Yeah. The Rockets are weird because Fred's not playing. If Fred was playing, I would put them in that group too. If Van Vliet was healthy this year, he would be definitely putting them up in that stratosphere too. Yeah, I think that's about right. Those are the top four teams out West. I don't put them in that order, though. I don't put them in that order. I would put maybe the Spurs second, the Nuggets third, and the Wolves fourth. Yeah. Yeah, as far as how good they are. Yeah, maybe the Spurs above the Thunder, honestly, because it's looked like that when they play each other, right? When the Spurs have played the Thunder, they've beaten Oklahoma City, and they've beaten the Knicks too. So it could very well be the San Antonio Spurs are the number one team in the league on the down low. Yeah. Yeah. Good to see you, Gerald. Always happy to see you in the chat. Maybe we can play some Marvel Snap later. Yeah. Yeah. Jimmy Pope is here. Good morning to the Pope of Positivity. It's frustrating because they have it in them, but they're just coming up short against these good teams. Got to stay out of the play in at all costs. Yeah, not happy about the loss to the Knicks, to be honest. Yeah, I wasn't happy about it either. I was pissed. In fact, in the Discord, I had to leave early because I was just like, I can't. I'm leaving. I'm out because I just didn't want to talk about it at that point. I needed, this has happened twice this week. It happened after the Knicks game and yesterday after the game for the 905, where I had to go and look at other things and get my mind off basketball. I was just pissed off. And in some ways, that's what you should do. This is a coping mechanism, and this is good life advice for anybody. If you're frustrated with something, like the Raptors losing to the Knicks, or the Raptors 905 losing to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, switch your brain to some other world. Forget about basketball for a little while. And that's what I did yesterday. The game was at 11 a.m. yesterday. And that's why I had a members only stream, is because I wanted to have a tight comment section with not a whole lot of comments, because I wanted to get done and be able to watch the game at 11. And so the game was over around 1:30, and I was just pissed. I was the same energy that I felt after the Knicks game, because it was a similar loss. It was like a fumble. It was a dumb loss where if they had just taken care of things better, they would have won. So what I did was I just went and got into other things. I planted some stuff for the spring inside. I did some indoor planning to start seeds for the spring. I went and read a book for a little bit. I just found other things to do to get my mind off of basketball. And sometimes that's the best thing to do when it's this kind of shit. The players, they need to feel it. They need to be like, you know what, man, we didn't play right and we need to play better. And they need to build motivation, because that's the thing. I know what Jimmy's annoyed with. I'm annoyed with it too, whether it's missed free throws, whether it's Brandon casually dribbling up the court and getting an 8-second call, whether it's RJ getting a 5-second call on a fast count, honestly, on that inbounds play, whether it's the ineptitude of execution for our offense in the last 5 minutes of that game where we could only score 2 points. Yeah, there's a lot to be frustrated with this. But I would say this, Jimmy, the games we played against the Knicks, this was the closest one. This is the one that we had the best chance in striking distance with the closest at the end of the game. It's just they blew it open in the last couple minutes, made it look worse. This game was way closer than the final score showed. It's just that, we fell apart so badly in the last 2 minutes. And then Josh Hart hit an extra three at the end there just to make the score look even worse. So there's progress. There's the signs of getting better, if not looking totally better because of stupid mistakes. And that's the thing. Those stupid mistakes get cleaned up. We probably win that game possibly. So, there's hope and there's momentum and there's gains. There's positive gains, even if the L still came, right? I wanted that one so bad. And I think that I was so pissed off about it because I saw how pissed off Scotty and RJ were at the end of the game. Their faces said it all. And in some ways, I'm glad. I'm glad they're pissed off instead of just happy-go-lucky, like, well, we just lost again. That's Vince Carter shit. No, I don't want that. I want them to be angry and be pissed that they didn't get the job done. We saw Scotty getting in Jalen Brunson's face, and they were talking mad shit in the fourth quarter at the end of that game. And then some ways, Scotty's writing checks with his mouth that we couldn't cash at the end of the game, and he doesn't look good for it. Well, however you feel about that, Scotty, put it in a bottle and take it to the next game when we play the Knicks the last time this year. Seriously, because we will get one more chance at New York before the season's over. And that'll be 2 games, the last game, 2 games before the last. It's the second to last game. I'm trying to say right there. Yeah. Yeah. Nako saying Martin should get more run. Wolves are deep. Yeah, I'm not on this right now. I like that Darko's playing the shortened rotation right now because it makes sense, because we're playing top teams in the East or the West. And this is the time to kind of check out your premium rotation. We have so many games off at these times. Like we're getting 2 days off between all these games all over the place. There's only 2 games this week. So him playing shortened playoff rotations, 8 guys, 9 guys, I have no problem with that because in some ways this is practicing for the second season. And we can afford to do this week because there's tons of rest time. So if he plays an 8-man rotation tonight, 8 man with like 9 minutes of Jamison battle on the end of it, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see Elijah Martin playing tonight. I don't even know if they're with them on the road. It could very well be that the 905 guys and Jonathan Mobo are just staying here because they got a game tomorrow against the Vipers. But we'll see. I may be wrong. They may be with them. I don't see Martin there. Martin had a bad game yesterday. He had one of his worst games as a 905 yesterday. Let's go over that game real quick. My number one star of the game was David Roddy. He was electric, man. It's crazy, man. We missed this guy for a couple weeks because he was playing for Team USA, and he finally came back. And he came back and he played an amazing game yesterday. David Roddy, 36 minutes, 27 points on 8 of 13 shooting, 5 of 9 from 3. And those threes were really confident and from deep. And that's what the Nuggets want. 3 for 3 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, and a block, a -7. Yeah, Roddy comes out and he's like, man, everybody's saying, I'm so glad David Roddy's back. Randy Urban's going on about it. The Raptors are so happy to have David Roddy back and all this stuff. He goes out, he kicks ass. He's number one star of the game. And then an hour later, we get news from Blake Murphy on Blue Skies that the Denver Nuggets have signed David Roddy to a 2-way contract, and he's snatched away. That all happened like before 1 o'clock yesterday. It's crazy. He played in the game. Well, actually, it was before like 3 o'clock. I should be more realistic. He played in the game from 11 to 1:30, and then by 2:30, he was a Nugget. Yeah, it happened that fast. It was so nice to have him back, but just back for one game. Now, this may be the end of David Roddy's connection with the Raptors for the rest of his career, guys. And you know what? I'm happy about it. I'm going to look at David Roddy real quick and what happened in this past year with him. Mysteriously, he showed up at our summer league last summer. I was like, what the hell is David Roddy doing on the with the Raptors at the sideline watching the youngsters at Summer League? We did not know that they had plans for him. And then he's in training camp and he didn't make the team, but then he was like, he's on 905. And this was his plan all along. And he got the success of it yesterday. So we should be very, very happy for David. He worked so hard this season as a veteran of the NBA. He was that guy like Justice Winslow, that guy like Eugene Omarui in past years on Raptors 905. And unlike those other guys, he actually got the two-way and he got it out of the mud and he came back into the NBA. Eugene's gone to Abu Dhabi and Spain, and Justice Winslow, I have no idea where he is at this point. But David Roddy successfully veered back into an NBA career because of how he played for 905 this year. So we have to give him kudos. We have to be happy for him, even if it's going to hurt our team badly. So lower the expectations for the Raptors 905 for the rest of the year because their bigs are gone. They're gone. The second star of the game for yesterday was Tyreek Key. I was happy to see Tyreek finally wake up offensively again. He's been having a dry spell in a couple of weeks, but he woke up again yesterday, finally. 23 points in 22 minutes. Always love to see outscoring the minutes. 8 of 12 from the field. He was 2 of 4 from 3. He made all 3 of his free throws, which is really good considering what happened there. I'll talk about in a second. 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 turnovers, a plus 16 in this 2-point loss. They lost 123 to 121. That's how close it was. It's so stupid, man. They could have won this game. They just screwed up, man. They had 2 good looks on some threes that didn't go in, including one by David Roddy that was kind of halfway between the half-court line and the three-point line, honestly. The third star of the game for me in this loss was A.J. Hoggart. A.J. Hoggart had a double-double off the bench. With 27 minutes, 15 points on 5 of 9 shooting. 1 of 2 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 14 assists, 14. But he had 6 turnovers too. 7 steals though to make up for those 6 turnovers. Plus 10 for AJ Hoggart. AJ Hoggart has been fantastic. Trevor's saying yesterday, I think AJ is going to be the next one to get snatched up. I'm like, nah, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that they've scratched the bottom of the barrel for the talent that's going to go up. If anybody else gets signed off of our team at this point, it's 10 days. It's not 2 ways. They won't be up there for long. They'll go up there for a 10-day contract. So I'll go ahead and go over the rest of the team. Honorable mention to A.J. Lawson, who was valiant. He had some moments, but he had some big stakes too, like crazy. 29 minutes for A.J. Lawson, 18 points on 7 of 11 shooting, 4 of 8 from 3. I love that. But he missed both his free throws, and they were ugly free throw misses. And we lost by 2, AJ. Either one of your free throws would have tied the game. You make both of them, we win by 2. And that's just unacceptable, man. Missing 2 free throws in the G League when those are worth 2 points each or 3 points. You get fouled on a 3-point shot, and you go to the line. You don't take 3 free throws. You take 1 free throw worth 3 points. So you need to make your fucking free throws in the G League. More than ever. But he missed both his free throws, 0 for 2, and that's 4 points at least right there that the Raptors 905 missed out on in a 2-point loss. 4 rebounds for AJ, 4 assists, 6 turnovers. See, they were very sloppy. There were a lot of turnovers for the 905. 3 steals, though, and a -1. Yeah, Elijah was bad, man. He was the worst player on the court for the 905, guys. 29 minutes for Elijah Martin, 7 points on 3 of 14 shooting. Couldn't hit nothing. 1 of 5 from 3, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers, a -24. This is a 2-point loss, and he was a -24 in it. Yeah, not contributing in the right ways, not playing right. In some ways, I'm worried about where Elijah's head is. Seriously. Yeah, these guys are getting called up. The excellence of 905 is going to be harder to hold up. And yeah, maybe you're anxious to get back to the Raptors and play more on the big club. But man, you're going to have to go where they tell you to go. And if the Raptors are healthy right now and we're a playoff team, we're going to playoff stretch. Just because Gerald says he wants to see Martin more on the Raptors don't mean it's going to happen, guys. Because right now we should be tightening up the very best players on our team and playing better with that. And it's not the time like in the last 2 years where we have nothing to play for and we can just play 10 days in 2 ways and play them a lot at the end of the season. No, this is a different end of the season this year because we're in the playoffs. And I don't expect Martin to come up and play a whole lot for the rest of the season. Seriously, it's not going to be like last year where these guys got all the chances in the world, Jamison Battle and people like that. So it's going to be very different this year. Jonathan Mobo had a pretty good game. I'll give him an honorable mention. 31 minutes, 14 points, 7 and 9 shooting, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 3 steals, and a block, a -5. Yeah, stat stuffing. You know, Randy Urban's right when he's calling the game. He's saying when Jonathan Mobo's playing well and kicking butt, the Raptors 905 play better. And that's true. And, you know, he had an ugly game the other day where he did not play well, but this game he did. He did. There were a couple times where he should have went up stronger and thrown down the basket instead of going up soft and not making the basket. A couple times right next to the basket. You got to remember, you got to do this every time, Jonathan. Just dunk it. No half-ass pussyfooting around and like trying to lay it up because this league is physical around the basket. You need to go up and dunk it with ferocity. Always remember that. Always remember that. Jarkel Joyner was the other starter in this game. 21 minutes, 5 points on 2 of 4 shooting, 1 of 2 from 3, 2 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a -11. Jarkel could have helped with more scoring. He, in some ways, needs to be more aggressive looking for a shot. It really was the Roddy show yesterday, though. Tyson Degenhardt's another guy who could be more aggressive with his scoring, too. 21 minutes for Tyson, 6 points, 3 of 5 shooting. He missed both his free throws. So he's just as guilty as AJ Lawson because he missed out on 4 points there. And that shouldn't be happening with the three-point shooter, specialist kind of guy like Degenhardt. These guys should be making their free throws. I'm sorry. Y'all can shoot threes so well. Why the fuck can't you shoot free throws? 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, a +9 for Tyson. So he had quality minutes. We saw Quincy return. Finally, this was good. We need this guy back. Quincy Guerrier of Montreal Lions came back and he got 12 minutes, 4 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 rebound, 1 turnover, a -2. He could do way more, but it was his first game back. He's just getting his legs under him. And we're going to need Quincy bad for the rest of the season. He's going to be very, very important. In fact, we're going to have the Canadian Twin Towers going for the rest of the year. 2 guys from Quebec are going to be our big guys. And Tyrese Samuel did make his Raptors 905 debut yesterday. And he looked good in a lot of ways. 13 minutes for Tyrese, 2 points for him on 1 of 2, 4 rebounds, a +5. Tyrese Samuel is like 6'9", but he has a really long wingspan. So he's a really good shot blocker and rebounder. I would say this, though, Tyrese. You got to rebound with 2 hands. You can't be doing this half-ass, like grabbing the ball with 1 hand trying to get it. No, 2 hands, bring it down because you'll lose the ball in a scrappy G League if you're not doing it that right. So, yeah, the Twin Towers of French Canadians and Tyrese Samuel and Quincy Guerrier are coming now on the Raptors team. They're going to be very relied on since Sarr and Roddy and Reese are gone. So, yeah, that's Caleb Stone Carrawell did not get to play in this game. On the other side, they got a guy named Nix, and he's annoying, man. 27 points for him on 41 minutes, 10 of 24 from the field. He's built like Roddy, and it was like really like a big body showdown, big body Roddy versus Nix, and they were just rotund, man. That are very wide and strong. And Nix was using that strength to power his team with leading scorer. Tristan Newton, 21 points for him with 9 rebounds and 9 assists. And yeah, that's it. It's not like their team was that great. In fact, the Grand Rapids, not the Grand Rapids, the Rio Grande Valley Vipers were very good at the beginning of the game. They kicked our butt right from the start, but they got worse and worse as the game went on, but then woke back up right at the end of the game and stole the game at the end. So, yeah, we'll play them again tomorrow at 5 p.m. So we'll see them, and hopefully we can get revenge and get back on the winning side of things with that. Yeah, we're now 30-12 overall for the whole entire G League season. This team stats, the 905 shot way better than them, 56% to their 47. We made more threes than them, 14 to their 10. But at the free throw line, this is where we fucked up. And that's why I'm so mad about this game. We shouldn't be losing games because we shot 57% at the free throw line. Like, seriously. And once again, this is G League. Those missed shots are worth 2 and 3 points sometimes. So we missed we were 8 of 14 from the free throw line. We missed 6 free throws, and who knows how many points that could have been in a 2-point loss. We got out rebounded 43-32, which is not I'm not surprised because most teams are bigger than us now with our bigs gone. Assist to turnover ratio 28-20 for the Vipers and 38-21 for us. So we did pretty good with our assists. The last ones, again, it didn't add up to a win. We lost. We beat them in the points to paint by 2 also, and we had more fast break. So we beat them on a lot of the stat categories. It's just they used guile and wisdom and good execution to close it out to beat us. So yeah, alas, another L with the 905 yesterday morning against Rio Grande. Yeah, there you go. There's your wrap up of the 905 2-point loss to the Vipers yesterday morning. School days game was awesome. The crowd was fantastic. The kids are all right. Yeah, they're awesome. Lindsey Dunn wasn't there though. It was weird. Lindsey was missing. I don't know why. Maybe it's too early for her. She couldn't be there. All right. Let's keep going. Mr. Quasimodo saying, I lower my expectations for home games. Well, the Raptors are playing on the road today. Maybe this will be a weird factor that helps them because they're in Minnesota today. They're not playing here in Toronto tonight. So maybe we're better tonight because we're in their arena instead of being at home. Let's hope for that. Yeah. Fiercey's here. Good morning, MJ. Good morning, fam. And good happy game day. Yeah, we got to do it again tonight. And well, it's another chance to try and win. Fuck around and find out. Maybe we get a win today and we're all pleasantly happy and surprised tomorrow. It could happen. A team's got to win. One team loses, one team wins. Maybe we could be that team that wins tonight somehow, some way. We figure it out. That's right. Protect the ball. That's right, Fiercey. That's right. Cut down on the dumb turnovers, the unforced turnovers, the timed turnovers, like 8 seconds, 5 seconds, just dumb turnovers. No more of this. Protect the ball, communicate, and make sure you're passing to somebody who's ready for the pass. And stop trying to force the ball in the post when the defense is obviously physically hedging you, and the person who's supposed to catch the pass can't cleanly catch it because they're getting physical. That's not the way to entry pass to a post player. Sometimes when we do the play we're trying to entry pass, we're not good with our judgment on when to throw it and when it's not safe to do it. And in some ways, y'all shouldn't be forcing those things. Maybe the coaches need to come up with plan A, plan B, plan C. If like they're trying to force the ball to Brandon in the post and he's getting pushed around, he's doing like this, he can't catch it. Do you see him moving like this? He has an established post. So why are you throwing it into him then? If there's like another guy that's the second guy just standing right there and he's just going to collapse onto it and they get in the middle, he can't catch the ball cleanly, fighting a guy behind him, and then a second guy comes over to get in between the pass. That's a turnover. So read the court better, Raptors players. And understand that pass, they are telegraphing it. They're ready for it. They have a scheme for it. And y'all can't go that way. And you need to understand that's a dead end. That's not a good play to throw it into one of our post guys when they are getting shadowed or physicaled on the post entry pass. You can't fucking get the ball to him if he can't catch it because he's holding somebody like this, and then somebody just comes and gets the scraps from the side. So understand this, Raptors, and stop trying to force those passes. Just because the set calls for an isolation play for Brandon Ingram to turn around and do a spin shot doesn't mean that we can get the ball to him every single possession down the floor. There should be a plan B. There should be a plan C. And move it around. That's right. G saying the Knicks bench 27 points versus the Raptors 8. I know people may not want to hear this, but Raptors are just not deep enough scoring wise. The defense is there, but they will be step by step. Yeah. I mean, that's the work of Bobby Webster to continue to make this team better. That's why I keep saying the starting five's fine. We just got to work on the bench. We can improve the bench immensely, and we just need to be smart and wily about it. Sandro was a fantastic pickup last summer. We need more of those kind of pickups this summer coming up. And, the other thing is dependent on is Shed and Walter getting better. Colin Murray-Boyles getting better. These young guys make strides and develop and jump up. And then, some of the other guys that are on our team maybe won't be around the team next year. And different guys are coming in. And then we have a more stronger, dependable bench. Some people are writing articles right now saying that the Raptors need more veteran players off the bench to show us how to win and that have that kind of experience and mentality of how to do it. And this, the kind of stuff that Vince had around him when he was on the team with Kevin Willis, Charles Oakley, Del Curry, Muggsy Bogues, and Chris Childs, and people like that. Maybe we need some of those kind of mentors, some people off the bench that are older, that aren't Garrett Temple, that are actually very strong in playing right now and can make good contributions. So yeah, we got to figure this out. Part of it is, like I said yesterday in my reaction, is Mike Brown's scheme to not let our bench do anything to help us. And in some ways, we were doting so much on our starters, we went away from them also. That's part of it too. So there's a couple contributing factors here to the big discrepancy in the bench scoring between the Knicks and the Raptors from the game the other night. There's a couple of things there. Yeah. Jimmy's saying this. Yeah, the game went to shit when the bench came in versus the Knicks. They got to be more consistent. Yeah, in particular, Shed was pissing me off in that game because in some ways I feel like he is not taking care of the ball correctly or respecting the ball in the correct way in some ways. Does that make sense? Like there's some passes that he throws that just pisses me off. It's like, and I kind of went over this yesterday in the reaction saying that, one of Shed's weaknesses is passing. He's not the best passer for a point guard. He's a very good defender. He's a very good leader and a communicator, but his passing could be so much better. He is not a good assist man for a point guard, which is crazy. So that's an area he needs to tighten up for next year. He needs to get better about protecting the ball, not just when he's dribbling it, but when he's launching it somewhere to another player. He needs to have better discretion, better skills, and better protection from getting the ball turned over because of his passing. So that's a big area I want him to see him improve for next year because, he's a very worthwhile player to hold on to. It's just that there's definitely areas that he needs to improve, and that's one of them right there. That's a big one right there. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. A good game saying our starters can rival anyone. This is still a big step towards forward and becoming contenders in the near future. You can look at different teams and what they've done this year and whether they've been on an elevator up like us and the Spurs, or they've been in an elevator down like Indiana. We've had a great improvement this year. In some ways, we did what Charlotte's doing this year, except we did it at the beginning of the year and we've been showing it all year. Charlotte's wasn't very good at the beginning of the year. They weren't winning at the beginning of the year, but now they're starting to win now. Their progress is just hitting at a different time. But we hit it right then. And in some ways, we launched ourselves way out of where we were last year to be where we are now. And that's a positive net. I know Raptors fans can be negative. They can be jaded. They can be nephews and they can have weird ideas, but this is overall an extremely successful year. They interviewed that lady who's on Law and Order Toronto during the Knicks game. And what did she say? This has been an unbelievably spectacular, successful year for the Raptors. I'm so proud of them. Why'd she say that? Is she a casual? Is she somebody who's not paying attention? No, she's paying attention. I could tell she's a real fan. She's not just at the game acting like she's there for a publicity stunt to promote Law and Order Toronto unit or whatever. No, she knew what she was talking about because when she said this year has been so successful, she was exactly right. And we need to stop missing the forest for the trees on that. And I know a lot of us have said this all year long. It's like, what are we upset about? We're above 500 this much. We're having a playoff spot, this and that. And we need to understand that. But to some people, it's not enough. Some people are crazy. Some people are unrealistic. Some people don't understand the progress in a rebuild in an NBA team. And that it's step by step. If you can go a home run and just jump all the way up and win like the Spurs might be able to this year, that's not normal. That would be very, very lucky and uncommon. So, we are on the right track. Don't get it twisted. They may be slighting us and saying we're not a top Eastern team on ESPN and not putting us in as any kind of serious contender. That's fine. And that may be very well true and fair. But if we keep going in this direction and we keep things going right, we're going to be talked about that way maybe next year. So that's the thing. Step by step is exactly right, G. And understand the steps have been forward this year and not back. And anybody thinks that things this year have been a failure or wrong, you are so off target on the reality of what happened this year with us. And we got to keep that in mind. Seriously. This is the overall picture. Jimmy's saying this. Yeah, the game went. Oh, I read that one yet. Neil's saying we need to get that get back tonight. Yeah, I mean, we got beat by Minnesota on our home court. We should go beat them on their home court. I like that. I like that. Nako's saying they probably won't. T-Wolves could get into the finals. What? They probably won't. What are you talking about? Man, don't be negative, Nako. I don't want to give you a strike. Smooth saying winning games is hard. Toronto is learning. That's right. Reggie's right on that. The NBA is not easy. In some ways, it's a very, very difficult league for different reasons. Some teams have it easier, some teams don't. And well, we are not one of those teams that has it easier. That's for sure. We got to go against the odds, and that's what we do. That's right. Even the odds are great. My money's on the Raptors. Okay, Neil, go ahead. You know, there's lots of sports gambling now. You can go ahead and put your money on the Raptors if you want to, which I don't agree with. Hey, there's a nuthatch on the feeder right now. Those are cool birds. They make really weird noises. They like to hang upside down on the trees, and they'll grab a seed and they'll fly back to the tree and they'll hit it on the side of the tree to try and open it. That's what they call the nuthatch. That's kind of funny, but yeah, it's on my feeder right now. Man, the birds have been back in the last couple of days. That's a true sign that spring's coming. I'm very, very happy about that. Let's see. Smooth saying this team is not a finished product. They're going to have to go through it. Yeah. The only teams that I think the Raptors have a better than average chance against are the Heat and the Sixers. You mean in the playoffs? Yeah. I mean, I think we'd be all right against Orlando too if it was finagled that way. But it's not likely that those are the teams that we're most likely to play. The teams we're most likely to play are Cleveland and New York. Those are the two teams we're most likely to play in the first round. And yeah, we want to avoid the play-in for sure. Whoever said that earlier, you're exactly right. We don't need no play-in. We need honestly, I still want home court. If there's some sort of magical way we can try and jump up and jump back into the fourth spot, that would be fantastic. That would be the best ideal thing. There's still a point. There's still a chance to do this for sure. Randolph's here. Good morning to Randolph. Blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks family. Your destiny is more powerful than your challenges. The road of destiny is paved with challenges. Yeah, I like this. I like this. Yeah, good words of wisdom. Your destiny is more powerful than your challenges. I like that. I like that. You guys kind of had similar words of wisdoms today. It's kind of like whatever you face, you are inherently ready to take care of it. And also, what you face and challenges is not your destiny. Your destiny can get you past it. Okay. Blessed to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak family. All right. All right. Smooth saying this, and that's not bad. Changes, upgrades come this summer. Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah, it will be really interesting to see how things go this summer. Man, we're getting bad news out of WNBA land right now. There's an article that got posted on ESPN yesterday saying that the players are not happy with the deal that's out there right now, and they are probably going to strike. And that means Toronto Tempo season is not going to happen on time. The early signs of the deadline coming up on the 10th, right, in 5 days, are that they're nowhere near getting this thing done, and that the players are more and more leaning towards a work stoppage. I hate this so much. I hate this in so many different ways. I hate it because we are so amped up for Toronto Tempo. I hate it because the WNBA is at a very high peak of popularity right now, and this is not the time to do this. This is not the time to do this. So there's a couple things. My conspiracy theory head gets into this whole thing where what if there's some idiot owner that's really making this hard to get done, and that's on purpose? Or maybe there's powers out there that don't like women's sports and don't like the WNBA, and they don't like the idea of them expanding to Canada, and they're just trying to stifle it all and mess it up. Whether it's just like Ed Rogers not wanting to do the bid and holding us back for a year, is there some sort of corporate forces or assholes that are in the way of this? Is what I'm wondering. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, the news is not good as of yesterday for the WNBA labor dispute. And that's not good, man. That's not good. I want to see the Toronto Tempo play. And it's already, maybe this is a hidden benefit if it doesn't happen on time. Because the accelerated offseason that would go into play next month, if they do get this done, is insane. It's even worse than when the season got kicked over because of the COVID pandemic.
And the way we had things when we drafted Malachi Flynn and said goodbye to Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol and the Raptors, that offseason was not a good offseason. Mistakes were made because it was rushed. And it could be very well a benefit to the tempo if there is a work stoppage and we don't start right now. Because honestly, they should be allowed to have time with their expansion players longer than like a week before starting the season. That's just not fair. And if it all gets set back, well, they should ease into the season slowly. I don't know how they're going to do it. But right now, the labor dispute is not getting fixed. Let's just put it that way. It's not getting fixed. Neil's saying congratulations to David Roddy. Yeah, it's a big deal. He worked really hard for this. In some ways, it's like, you can't be mad at this, even if it's going to hurt the Raptors 905. As a fan of the Raptors 905, it sucks. But you know what? This is why they do what they do, was to get this success. Neil's saying 905 is empty, but we keep moving on. Yeah, I'm going to keep moving. I don't like certain words. Shaq Lindsay's saying this. The Raptors need a scoring punch off the bench. We got guys that are good at their roles, but not known for scoring. Playing RJ with the bench doesn't work. RJ is better at playing off the double teams, cutting towards the basket. Well, this was Grady, man. It's pissing me off, man, because Grady was such a good scorer as a starter last year. We translated him to being a good 6-man scorer because he should have been that, but he hasn't. He's failed. He's flopped. And it's just like Malachi. I'm going to say the same thing. The frustrations I had about Malachi Flynn not being a true backup point guard really hurt our team for years because he was not doing that role right. And you can see Shed doing it now, and you can see the difference of what was lacking with Malachi Flynn. If he had been even a half the player that Shed had been, we would have been way better off those years Malachi was wasting our time as our backup point guard. This is the problem with Grady right now. He had an assigned role for this year, and he has failed at it. He is not coming through with the scoring punch that he should be off the bench as the 6-man three-point specialist off the bench. Right now, he just looks like a goofy kid who can't do anything right on the NBA court. And this is where we lacked this. This was his piece of the pie to carry for us this season, and he failed this year. He's failed this whole fucking year. And in some ways, I don't like coming down so hard on Grady, but this was what he was supposed to do. Now, Jacoby, to an extent, is also this guy. And we've seen more kind of big games from Jacoby and providing scoring off the bench. But yeah, these two guys were the guys that were supposed to do this. And in some ways, we can see the progress and the benefits coming from Jacoby, but Grady dropped the ball. Grady dropped the ball. We also got to figure out that Oshai was part of this scoring punch off the bench too. And we don't have as deep of a bench with Abaji gone because he was helpful, and he was helpful on both ends. So that's part of it too. Let's see. Mobo played good yesterday. Yeah. People have been putting Mobo under the science lab microscope so much lately and really over analyzing him, but they're not understanding what his path of development is supposed to be. Like, I think that some people watch Jonathan Mobo and they just expect him to become a superstar all of a sudden. No, this dude's a role player. This guy's a very skilled all-around big who can stat stuff, all categories, whether it's steals, blocks, assists, threes, rebounds. He's not been shooting threes very much this year. And in fact, I'm glad because it's not something he should be doing all the time. They have a different weird opinion of like, well, if he's on the G League all year, he's a failure. No, that's not what this is either. This is Bruno Caboclo stuff. This is basically like Bruno, we wish we had 905 when he was playing on our team because we couldn't develop him correctly because he had nowhere to go play, right? There's nowhere for Jonathan to play on the Raptors right now. And it's not a failure. It doesn't mean he's not good. It just means he's down on the 905, continuing to develop and getting lots of minutes down there. But nephews and casuals in Raptors Nation will look at that and say he's a failure because he's not even on the Raptors and he had to play on G League all year. This is their reasoning for why they think Jonathan Mobo's a bust or a bad player. They're so stupid. They don't get it. They really don't get it. They look down on G League so much, they don't understand exactly what it is. In fact, half of these people that judge Jonathan for being on 905 this year don't even watch 905. They just say, oh, it's the G League. He's on the G League team. Obviously, he's a fail because he played way more on the Raptors last year. And this year, he hasn't hardly played on the Raptors at all. He's only playing on 905. He's obviously a failure. Nephew take. Total nephew take. Nah, this is the thing. Mobo is progressed this year, and you can ask his coach Jones. He'll tell you just how much he's gotten better and better, and listening and trying harder, and honing his craft and getting better at not making mistakes, understanding positioning, and just playing better and better professional basketball. To a casual, they won't see it or understand it, especially if they're not watching 905. But people like Neil and I that are watching 905, we can see it. We can see it. And I see it. He can be such an X factor because he is a very versatile player. And in some ways, he has levels to him that are like Scott, but they're not Scotty Barnes completely. But there are things about Jonathan that are very Barnes like. And at some level, they're helpful and useful. He can play in the NBA. It's not that he can't play in the NBA. It's just that the Raptors got a talent upgrade last summer and he got shifted to the 905. And that's not his fault. That doesn't mean he got worse, nephews. HC is here. Good morning to HC, the one defeated. Rise and shine, y'all. Going to be an interesting game tonight. We need this win. Yeah. It would definitely be good for the spirits of Raptors Nation, the team, and people in general. It'd be a good sign of things. We need a win again because we've been losing to a lot of the top teams lately, and it's annoying. And in some ways, we need to get a win against the top team. In some ways, to shut the rhetoric up about how the Raptors can't beat a top team, and also just to get a feel good. We need a feel good. I'm with you on this. We have nothing to lose. Let's go for it. That's right. HC saying this, Lex, we're going to have a battle this week. My mission is to keep my one loss. Your roster's looking like a Christmas tree with all those red injury bubbles. May the best man win. Laugh out loud. I know you've been hurt too. I guess you have Jokic back right now. Either way, I've got the lead right now, and I'm going to try and keep it and do my best. We'll just see. May the best team win. We still got what? Today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. So there's 4 more days of competition. And well, I've got a 100-point lead on you right now. So yeah, just bring it. Come on. We'll see what happens. In some ways, I don't want to get overconfident because I know how good you are. It's just that, I got to try and do my best. And I may have missed out on some early points this week that I shouldn't have missed out on that I'm going to regret later. We'll have to see. Shaq Lindsay saying this, playing Shed and IQ together means you're giving up size at the 2. I hope we don't see that again, Ant-Man. Shed is a good defender, but Ant is too dynamic of a scorer for Shed to slow down. The quick Shed lineup is fantastic. I love it. And I love how much he's used it. He's not been shy or bashful about using it. In some ways, yeah, they need to watch out who they're playing against. In some ways, it's not conducive against the Timberwolves because they're overall a very tall team. And but I don't mind them doing this. And it's at certain points in the game where he needs to do it. But if we are getting killed because Anthony Edwards posting up Jamal Shed or Emmanuel Quickly, yeah, Darko needs to make the adjustment and change it out. But I think the quick Shed lineup is so valuable for this team because you've got 2 point guards on the court that can play make. You've got a ability for Quickly to play off guard more, which in some ways activates him to be able to score more and not have to worry about ball responsibilities. In some ways, also, their defense as a tandem is very top. Now, you say you worry about this with Anthony Edwards, but what if they're doing a trapping system where they're coming at him together and we're just shifting all around to go after the next person when they try and pass the ball around? There's ways to do it where it's effective, even if there is a size advantage for Minnesota. We'll just have to see how Darko handles it. And if it is a failure and there's a problem, well, quick adjustment and bring in somebody different. Jacoby could guard Anthony Edwards a little bit better. Monique is saying this, all the best to David Roddy. Finally read the news, but yeah, success is great. I was down for a bit. If you haven't watched 905, you ain't interested like Lex and I. Yeah, and this is something, that Monique's come around to. She has a high standard of excellence for the Raptors organization. As a super fan and somebody that loves this team through the soul and epitome of her whole existence and heart, it's hard for her to see the Raptors lose. And 905 under Eric Curry was difficult to watch. And Mo was not trying to watch all those games, and she would peace out all the time. But this year, she's been with us riding strong this whole entire year watching 905. And I'm happy about that. I know she watched last year too when Andrew Jones took over too. So yeah, this is the thing. We love David Roddy. We're really happy for him. You know, he probably will never ever be a Toronto Raptor proper, but he's definitely been a Raptors 905 player, and he's had an impact on our organization, and we appreciate him for it. And you know, none of the guys are sad to see him go. You know, they had a really nice speech. Olivier Sarr posted. They posted a speech of Olivier after he got signed, and he said, "Guys, you guys are my brothers for life. I'll never forget this experience. This has been so important to me. What happened here on the Raptors organization. I missed a year because of my injury, and I was worried I'd never play again. And I really appreciate the medical staff of the Toronto Raptors organization for sticking with me and helping me rehab to get myself healed and back to the point where I am now. And now I'm going to Cleveland Cavaliers on a two-way contract." So Olivier Sarr is indebted to the Raptors organization and the health that they gave him. And also, he's never going to forget the brothers that he met playing for the 905 this year and the chemistry they built and the fun they had this year. It's a special thing because in some ways it's a temporary thing, and it was a means to the ends to get to where he got to. But still, the memories and the winning and the things that they did this year were special. And David Roddy, Olivier Sarr, Julian Reese, they're never going to forget this shit. They'll never forget this shit. There was a funny clip that I forgot to talk about that the 905 put out of Tyson Degenhart, Olivier Sarr, and Tyreek Key went to a Freshco grocery store, and they were buying stuff for people of need. They're going around the aisles and like grabbing stuff in front of the grocery cart. And at one point, they got to the checkout aisle, and Tyson Degenhart, this is so stupid. He goes, "Can I do it?" And the lady's like, "Yeah, sure." So he goes around to the cashier and he starts scanning everything and doing it. He said, "I'll be much more efficient," is what Tyson said. Apparently, he did that job as a job when he was younger, and he had the inkling to want to be the cashier at the grocery store, scanning all the items again. So there's a funny clip of them at the grocery store, a farewell clip in some ways for Olivier, of these three Raptors 905 doing a charity thing where we're filling up these grocery carts full of stuff and we're going to give them to people in the community. And Tyson Degenhart wants to be the cashier at the end of it. He's so proud. He's like, "I'll do it more efficiently." If I was that lady, I'd be like, "What? You telling me you do my job better than me?" And Tyson's like, "Yeah, I do." He's like scanning everything. It's so funny, man. It's so goofy, man. Yeah. Reggie's saying Roddy gives the Nuggets additional depth at the three. He's gonna get playing time. Well, he's ready for it. I mean, it's not like this man isn't NBA ready. You know, he's one of these bubble players that is honestly an NBA player. It's just there's no spot for him open. Well, one opened up for him, and that's what this is. He's an NBA player. That's the thing that people don't understand. A lot of the guys in the G League could be NBA players. It's just opportunity in the roster spot and the place. There's limited ones in the NBA. They don't just hand them out and give them to everybody. There's a lot of good players in the G League that could play in the NBA in the right situation if the opportunity presented itself. And David Roddy's opportunity opened up on the Nuggets. And like Reggie's saying, he's going to probably show up and be able to contribute and help them right away. Right away. That's right. Yeah, Randolph's saying, "Lex, Tyrese Samuel and my oldest daughter went to the same high school. She's excited for him. I think Hogarth is next to be snatched by a team." Well, that's what Trevor thinks too. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. See, the other reason why the three guys got snatched from our team is their size. You know, size is a premium in this league. Obviously, we found this out with how hard it is to get centers and different things like that. These guys are size players. And, you know, the guards in the G League, they're a dime a dozen. There's guys like AJ Hogarth on almost every team that are different, like skilled guards that can score. And in fact, AJ Hogarth's not the best scorer. He's a good playmaker. He has some good moves in the lane and traffic, but he's not the best scorer. There's tons of guys in this league that are way better scorers at his position. So I don't see this. I don't see this at all. I think they're done taking players from our team for the year. In fact, I think the deadline was yesterday. So we don't worry about this anymore. We go forward with what we got. You know, Luke Wynn was at the game on Sunday when I was there at center court watching on the other side. He's got to figure out another player to bring in after Tyrese Samuel, because we're going to need another player because Roddy's gone now. And, Bobby Webster was at the game yesterday for 905 at the school days game, watching the whole thing. Maybe you're too late to show up, Bobby. It's like all the transactions have happened now. Or maybe you're going down there to figure out with Luke Wynn the next player that y'all are going to add after Tyrese Samuel. So, yeah, that's cool that you have a link to Tyrese. He seems like a great young man. He seems like somebody who's happy to be back in the country of Canada. He seemed very enthusiastic around the team yesterday. Of course, there's a learning curve added to a new organization and learning the play systems and the team roster and their proclivities as players. And hopefully he'll get that more added. He couldn't play at the end of the game last night or yesterday during the day because he's not totally trusted because he just showed up. He's had like one practice. He played a good little run, and he wasn't bad. He didn't make a lot of mistakes. He got some rebounds, but he's got to learn some more about how we play here. And I'm excited to see more of Tyrese Samuel as the rest of the 905 season goes. Yeah, I don't think Hogarth's going anywhere. I don't think he is. Shaq Lindsay saying, as much strides as RJ has been making on both ends, he still has to prove himself to Darko to remain on the court. If this was the case, you wouldn't utilize the Shed IQ combo. You wouldn't get that. Oh wait, that's from before. No, the Shed quickly combo is utilized at different times. RJ has a weird pattern in the fourth quarter. His pattern is he starts the fourth quarter and he has a lot of energy. And like we saw against the Knicks, him and Emmanuel were kind of carrying the Raptors at the beginning of the fourth quarter in the last game. And then he sits in the middle, but then he's the last guy who comes in at the end to close it out. And often they're taking Shed out then. So, I mean, I don't see this exactly how you do. I think that in some ways they got the Shed quick lineup out there in the middle of the fourth quarter. But at the end, RJ's back in at clutch right at the end of the game, if you pay attention. And Shed's going to the bench. So it's quite often Jamal Shed doesn't close games most often. Like, that's not normal. Normally, it's the starters that are out there closing. And if it's not Yak out there, it'll be Jacoby with them and not Shed. It depends on the situation and the matchups and the defensive needs, usually. Yeah. And Nako's saying, GD, my injury issues in fantasy. Yeah, you're in the thick of things. You got to try and get into the playoffs, Nako, because you're on the bubble, just like a G League player right now. You're on the bubble, my guy. Nako, you are in 10th, and you have a 6-12 record. You're not totally eliminated yet, but I'm going to tell you right now, 6 of the 8 spots are taken, and 8 and 9 are Kaz and Fiercey. Number 7's Nins. And Nins is looking like he's probably in there. So the struggle, yeah, I don't think you're out, Gerald. I don't know if you have a chance, man. You're 6-12, and that may be too far out to get in there. So the real battle at this point is between Trucker Kaz and MJ for the last spot in the playoffs. And they are tied. They both have a 9-9 record. And right now, Kaz is winning because more points. So Fiercey's got to get a better record to get in there. Yeah. Randolph saying, Lex, I'm concerned that our two ways are not developing as fast as the other players to take that open spot on the main team roster. That's not how it works. There's an open spot on the roster that's independent of them. We have 18 roster spots. We've been running with 17 guys, 3 two-ways and an open complete roster spot. That's not a two-way or anything. We have not been using a whole roster spot the whole entire year. This is part of why I'm saying that I think Rodgers is cheaping out and being a cheapskate, because he's trying to cut corners in all kinds of ways, whether it's buy Ujiri, we're just going to pay Webster, whether it's cutting people out of the broadcast, different people like Savannah Hamilton and other people like that. I think that him having this roster spot open because they legally can do it in the NBA is another weird way that they're trying to cut costs. And I don't know. I'd like to think that roster spot is just Shamshay's waiting for him to jump back into it if he gets cleared all of a sudden. That's what I've been trying to think that it is. Then that's not totally clear or for sure, but it could be that's what it is. I don't know if they're going to fill this roster spot. It could very well be this whole entire year we're just going to run with an empty empty spot on our team. because they're not going to convert any of these guys. In some ways, this is financial. And that's what I was trying to tell people. Everybody's saying, oh, they're going to convert Elijah Martin to a regular contract at the end of the year. No, they're not. They're not. I don't see them doing this, guys, because in some ways they don't have the reasoning to do it. In some ways, they just don't. I mean, you could say, no, Elijah's been so good, he deserves it. That's not necessarily true. I could make an argument if you're going to convert somebody, you should convert AJ. Convert AJ Lawson to a two-way contract and put him in that extra roster spot. And then you can add an extra two-way after that. I don't know. Whatever way Bobby's doing it, I got to trust him because I don't live on the moon and I don't know all the rules that he's got to follow by the NBA, all the politics he's got to follow because of, the landscape that, players this don't want to do this. You can only do this. This is a loophole for this. And also we don't understand how much pressure from the ownership and the financials is directing how much he can do what he can do. It could very well be he's handcuffed in certain ways. And from the outside, we're looking at what he's trying to do. And we're saying, poke him with a stick. Bobby, do something. Do something. And he can't because his hands are tied because of financials with the Raptors. That's possibly what this is, guys. That's possibly what this is right now. Yeah. G saying this, if the 905 is known to help convert players, we will attract more people. Yeah, in some ways we become a factory for development, and it's good in some ways, but we're not going to see all the spoils towards the Toronto Raptors. The teams like Washington will get Julian Reese, and they'll see some of the spoils there. Is that something that's wrong or bad? No. In some ways, this gives us more prestige with our team. And, maybe more people will want to come play for the 905 because they just seen 3 of our players get 2 ways. Yeah, that looks good. That's good advertising to get more talent up here. That's for sure. Nako's saying, I'm trying to beat all Pokemon Fire Red today in one shot. Just beat Brock. It's hard to rank Wolves, Nuggets, and Spurs, but I think Wolves are most proven. I don't agree with that. The most proven team out of the Nuggets, they won the championship. I say, once again, they're the third in that group. And Spurs are just something else with Wemby, and the way they're playing around Wemby is really smart. And I think that the Spurs are really honing their craft, and they're getting better and better as the season goes on. And some of that is Wemby. The Nuggets have won it. They've been there. They've done that. The Wolves have, they've been a good solid team a couple years now, but they've also failed miserably in the playoffs at different times too. So I can't get behind this, Nako. You're ranking Minnesota higher than I would. Trevor's saying this, Raptors the only team that have 3 players from the same team to get 2-way contracts. Other G League teams have 1 player get called up, but to their big club. Yeah, it's no rhyme or reason. It can be different ways. This is some ways is a prestige. And in some ways we can brag about this, even if it feels like it's a detriment and not a reward. It is a reward in some ways. And Andrew Jones can smile about it. Even if his job got way tougher for the rest of the season, he's been successful in getting 3 guys NBA contracts. And that is an accomplishment. That's an accomplishment. That's a big accomplishment. I don't know how often this happens where, a team in the G League gets 3 guys to 2 ways. Maybe they get 3 guys to 10 days or 1 guy to 2-way, maybe 2 guys to a 10-day, but not 3 guys to a 2-way. That's a big accomplishment. That's a lot of investment in guys who are on our team that are getting a foot into the NBA, back into the NBA in a couple of cases. That's right. Neil's saying this, Darko is still limited by us being short for 1 more big guy. We need another 7-footer. I mean, I get what you're saying, Blackhawk, because you see Mitchell Robinson and Cat running out there together against us. It's like, well, where's our Luke Cornett? You know what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. I mean, our center depth is better than it's been in like 5, 6 years now. It's pretty much since the championship. Our center depth is absolutely the best it's been since 2019 right now. With Serge and Mark and, what we had then, that was adequate. What we have now is close. Some of it is catching up with Colin Murray-Boyles getting older and more experienced. And maybe, if Mamu gets to another team this summer because we don't retain him, we're going to have to replace him. And maybe we make an upgrade and get a more legitimate, true 7-foot big man as a backup somehow, some way. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure it out. I won't disagree with you, but I would say that this situation is way better than it has been pretty much since we won the championship. Right now, we've got good five depth. We've got better than we did at the beginning of the season, better than last year. Yeah. Kaz is saying this. Good morning, everyone. So, in essence, 905 are a farm team for the rest of the NBA. No, in essence, the whole G League is a farm team for the NBA. It's not just us. It's all the teams. We could go get a team from the College Park Skyhawks. We could go get a player from Valley Suns like we did, Tyrese Samuel just now, traded to get him. No, this is the way this league works. The only guys that are yours on your G League team are your two ways and your assignment players, which is Jonathan Mobo, Elijah Martin, AJ Lawson, and Chucky Hepburn. The rest of those guys are free pickings for anybody around the league. And that's why about a month ago, I was saying to Bobby, switch the two-way to Julian now and get him in our organization staying here. But no, he didn't see the value in that for whatever reason. Whether it's Julian's 20 and he's too much of a project, maybe there's information they know about Julian Reese from having him in the organization that they're like, no, this isn't a keeper. This guy isn't exactly a Raptors freak. You know, I did my FBI profile on him, and in some ways, he's not exactly the right material. I don't know. We don't live on the moon. We don't understand Bobby's reasoning or why he looks at players certain ways and which ones and what not. In some ways, you know, it's just basically this way. You know, there's a Westchester Nick, there's a Delaware Blue Coat, there's a Mexico City Capitan. Any of these teams are ripe for the picking. And that's why we could go get Mo Bamba from Salt Lake City on a 10-day contract just a little while ago. That's exactly the same scenario. So it's no, the whole league is a farm team for the NBA. And you can go pick a player from any team to sign to a contract to your team if you really want them. So that's what it is right there. Shaq Lindsay saying a spark plug off the bench. RJ should be the player or even BI to play with the bench. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this idea. I think our starting five is fine. We just upgrade the tools on there. I never, you know, people were trying to talk about RJ coming off the bench and Grady starting this year, last summer. Remember that? There are some people, I don't know if it was anybody on this channel, but there was talk around Raptors Nation saying Grady should be the starter and RJ should come off the bench as the sixth man. You seen how that would have flopped this year, the way Grady's been playing? So it's like, no, understand. RJ's a starter. He's a 3 pick in the draft. He's a good player. And relegating him to the bench like Ricky Pierce, it's not the right idea at this point. At this point, the starting five is set. We need to get somebody to come in and be that six man. You know, a Lou Williams kind of player, right? A Lou Williams kind of player. Let's see. The more attempts RJ makes from three, it will open up his game and make him even more of a threat going to the basket. Before his injury, RJ was doing this, so this is not new for him. I believe he can get back to doing this and we'll be all right. Yeah, that's what they were saying in the game the other night, Vince Carter and Tracy, that BI came out and bombed a three and made it right away, and that opened up his game for him and allowed him to do way more to get his 30-plus points. So, yeah, that goes for any player. You come out and hit a three, they got to respect you more, and that can open up the game for you. Just like RJ, Emmanuel, Scotty, any of those guys. Let's see. Jimmy's saying this. Why get Trace Jackson Davis if we're not even going to try to use him? We're getting out rebounded majority of the time and need size, especially with CMB hurt. Hang on, it jumped ahead. He made an impact his first minutes. Since then, nothing. I get that tight rotation thing, but when we're getting exploited by good teams, you got to try new stuff. Well, once again, I'll tell you that I'm only speculating here, but I think there's a couple things here. It could very well be that he has not meshed correctly yet, completely to the trust level. You know what Tyrese Samuel's going through on 905 is similar to TJD. Is that, you know, you have to show the aptitude and capturing the personnel and playing with them. Once again, there's a whole world of the Raptors we don't see that's in the practice that we don't get privy to. And there may be things happening in practice that are like, yeah, Darko's like, I'm not ready to play him in this way or this way yet. You know, he's new still. He's still very, very new. And even though it seems like he's not going anywhere with us, a lot of the work that's going on with him is behind the scenes in practice and continuing to get him up to speed with the way we do things. And the judgment of Darko, just like the judgment of Bobby, is more knowledgeable of the situation because he's seeing this firsthand in practice. So whatever the question mark is about TJD, it's we'll see how it develops before the end of the season. But you know what? That's the thing. We got him for insurance. We got him just in case. And in some ways, we haven't had to use him according to Darko right now. You could think, oh, we just throw Trace in there, we're gonna fix our rebounding problems. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. It's not like, oh, just add this dude and he just fixes all the issues. Sure, he's a good rebounder, but I don't know if he would be the answer. Because what if he's like getting rebounds, but he's absolutely a problem on defense because he's not covering where he's supposed to, and he's not working within the system with his other teammates in the effective way. We saw a really quick, brief debut of him, and he was thrown in there, and it was in a game that wasn't very pressure filled. These are big teams we're playing right now. And in some ways, you can play him. Maybe we should have played him more against the Wizards the other day. But when we're playing the Spurs, the Knicks, and the Timberwolves, maybe that's not the time to play him yet. But whatever it is, the question marks are there. I got them too. But I have to trust that Darko has a reasoning for this. And it's something that has to do with practice. That has something to do with, maybe this is the other one I speculate with Trace is. Maybe the coaches of the Raptors see Trace Jackson Davis is a very, very talented player, but he's not trying hard enough. That could be it too. That they're saying, oh, he just came in, he's lofting it. He's not really going all out like we want from the Raptors. And until he goes all out in practice, we're not going to put him in the game. That could be part of it. That's the motivation that Darko has up his sleeve. Is you want playing time? You want to be in the rotation, Trace? Well, you need to go above and beyond in practice and prove it to us that when we put you in the game, you're going to be a badass. So maybe he's trying to light a fire under him to go to another level by saying you're not going to play until you show us something. That's usually what this stuff is, right? I mean, it's not as easy as saying just add him and we're going to fix all our rebounding problems and we're going to out rebound Mitchell Robinson. That's not that easy. It's not that easy right there. Let's see. Shaq Lindsay's saying, let's melt the ice in Minnesota. Yeah, melt that fucking ice in Minnesota. Man, I feel for the people of Minnesota. Y'all are heroes. Y'all keep fighting that fight. Keep resisting. And, man, ice can go to hell. They could have gone to hell yesterday. We got senators breaking Marines' arms yesterday and just for protesting. America's just going down the tubes in some crazy ass, fast ass way right now. It's so fucked up. There's hope in different places. There's different fights that are going on and success is happening. Every single election that's happened since Trump world started has been going blue, which is fantastic. In fact, there was another election this week that was in Texas, and the Democrat won in a place where the Democrat never ever wins. So maybe there's some hope for the United States system as long as Trump doesn't try to control the elections coming up. They need to vote as blue as possible and give more power to that party, the opposition party, to get more fight and stopping this monstrosity of what is happening in the United States right now. Yeah. This man's a pedophile and he needs to be in jail yesterday. This is ridiculous. Law and order has been flipped upside down when the criminals run the country and they're trying to act like they're the ones that are on the right side of justice and right side of the law when they're absolutely the criminals running the country like a mafia. That's what's going on down there right now. And don't deny it. Anybody who thinks I'm crazy and no, you're wrong. No, you are getting propaganda from the mass media at this point. If you cannot understand just how fucked up this is, let's see. Nako saying Indiana is going to be back next year. Maybe there's no guarantees on anything. You could have something like Halliburton get hurt and have an off year, and they have to start all over again. And they don't instantly just get their place back up at the top of the Eastern Conference. They're back at the bottom of the escalator, Nako. And until they prove it, until they reestablish it, until they get those games won again, like they were the years before, there's no guarantees on any of this. They could be in trouble for years to come and down at the bottom of the standings for years to come. There's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. You could say that, and you may very well be right, but I don't know if Halliburton has that much of an impact, seriously. And Miles Turner is a big loss. I think that the Indiana Pacers are really understating how much they miss Turner. Seriously. Most saying this. I think Darko has to sit this team down and answer some hard truths, or have an end of the game plan, have a vision on how they want to attack the last minutes of the game with a variety of different actions. Well, there's a couple of different things going on here. They don't have enough practice doing this compared to like a team like the Knicks or the Celtics. These teams have a lot of practice doing this, and they have a lot of confidence, and they have a lot of ability in executing what they've done already in the past. We don't have enough of a track record at this level of competition to withstand the pressure and all this stuff. In some ways, we unravel because we need to get more tests and more chances to do this. It's part of the learning process. It's part of the actual process of becoming a championship team. Is like, we jumped a whole bunch of steps. Last year it was like, win as much as we can, but we're probably going to lose and be outmatched in a lot of games, right? And win 30 games. This year, it's like we're beating all the bad teams, but we can't beat the good teams. So it's a learning process, stair steps going up. It's not going to be an instant fix, like where he just sits down to them and talks to them. No, they have to keep trying, running into that wall, even if they fall down over and over again until they finally run through that wall. And every night's an opportunity to practice. And tonight will be another one right there. I don't know. Hard truths. What are the hard truths? We need to gel and learn more as a unit so that we know each other more like the back of our hands, and that we naturally go into things like the Knicks do to close the game. That's part of it right there. That's part of it right there. And, the big thing is they need to tidy up their mistakes. There's so much things that could go better for the Raptors and the Raptors 905 if they just stop shooting themselves in the foot and making their own problems for themselves, because they're not doing things exactly cleanly or right. And turnovers and missed free throws and missed open shots are symbolic of this. G's saying this: the Spurs got top picks for years in a row. They're very lucky. Number 1, 4, 2, 3 years in a row. Yeah. I can get behind this. I mean, the Spurs have been a very lucky franchise since Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Since David Robinson, really. They've been a very lucky franchise. And I'm not mad at it. That's my West team. In fact, the Raptors can do as best as they can. I'll root for them, obviously. But in the Western Conference, the Spurs, woo-wee, go all the way. Let's go. I'll be wearing my Spurs jacket, hopefully in June, rooting on Wemby, going for a championship. Yeah, that's the team I want to win if it's not going to be the Raptors. I want the Spurs to win the whole thing if they can this year. I don't know if it's realistic because they're just coming up from non-playoff spot to the playoffs right to a championship. That would be crazy. But if any team can do it, it's them. If any team can do it, it's them. Denali's here. We got Lakers Freak in the house. Denali 220. Huge Raptors fan today. I'm guessing he wants us to beat the Timberwolves for Western Conference standing implications. That he's like, yeah, I'm a huge Raptors fan today. The stoppage in the WNBA makes everyone lose. I think that both sides figured out and do what is best for the game. I hope so. The numbers are just not very close. The owners only want to give them 15% of the profits. That's fucked up, man. In the NBA, the players get 50% of the profits. The owners in the WNBA only want to give the players 15% of the profits. Yeah. The margin the players are asking for is 33%. They only want a third. They don't even want half. And the owners are that fucking greedy. So once again, solidarity with the workers, solidarity with the players union, and fuck you owners. You're already so rich, you motherfuckers. Pay the ladies what they're worth, what they are deserving of. Seriously. I'm so sick of this shit. Yeah. Monique saying WNBA news is sad right now for sure. I want home court for playoffs too. Yeah, it sucks because we're supposed to have Toronto Tempo and everything's been delayed and messed up with the Toronto Tempo from the start. And it started with Ed Rogers III, and it's gone into now this crazy bullshit on when they're supposed to be starting. Like I said the other day, if things had gone right, the Toronto Tempo would have had players at the beginning of December. At the beginning of December, over 3 months ago. They'd have their expansion players, and they'd have a team, and Sandy Brondello would have been training camping them for 3 months already, like Golden State got, and when they came in the league the year before. But nah, they're going to have every kind of hindrance and obstacle more than common because of a labor dispute. And in some ways, this has not been the best time to have an expansion team coming into the league. And, Portland fans are feeling it too. Portland Fire, their fans are just as nervous and weird about why is this taking so long? We want to have players too. They're in the same situation. And that's another thing that hurts us also is the Valkyries had an expansion draft with just them. They didn't have anybody else taking players. And that's how they got in the playoffs in the first year. We have to split players with Portland in the expansion draft. So there's all kinds of setbacks and things that are against the tempo, and they don't even have players yet. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Denali's saying this. This is the most important game of the year for the Raptors. It's like a playoff game. I wouldn't say that. I don't think this is the most important game of the year for the Raptors. No, that's not true. I don't know what the most important game of the year for the Raptors is right now. There's been a lot of good wins this year. I think that win in Oklahoma City was pretty good. Yeah, that win against the Sixers in overtime by 1 point, that was a pretty good game too. Yeah, we've had some good wins, but I don't know if this is the most important game of the year for the Raptors. I mean, Darko would probably say that because he'd say this, whatever game is next is the most important game of the year for the Raptors. So he'd probably say that. Fiercely saying Raptors organization is top tier and so classy. Yeah, for the most part, that's absolutely true. We do try and have quality, and we do try and do things correctly with not many shortcuts. And that's good, man. Yeah. Vegan Grass is saying, isn't Julian Reese 22? He'll be 23 this summer. No, he's 20, man. Julian Reese is young, man. He's very, very young. He just showed up as a rookie this year, right? He was on the Lakers Summer League team. And wait, what does it say here? Oh, he says 23, 22. Why were they saying he's 20 on the broadcast? Randy Urban, I'm going to blame him, man, because he's called him the 20-year-old, but he's 22. You're right. He's going to be 23 in June. Fact checked by Vegan Grass. All right, you can get a dunk for correcting me. That's what we do here. In some ways, we're not like dumbass Trump and say, oh, I'm only right and you're wrong, false news. No, if somebody corrects me, I'll admit I'm wrong. And that's a powerful thing to do as a person. And most people should be able to do that. All right, you got the Corey Joseph Pickering 6, my guy, for fact checking me. Yeah, this is what the Raptors 905 broadcast has been saying all year, right? You've been there, Vegan Grass. They've been saying Julian Reese only 20 years old. That's why I thought, because I was just listening to them. But I guess you're right. He's going to be 23. He's 2 years older than they said. That's weird, man. Okay, well, thanks for fact checking me. I don't know why I kept saying that. Maybe I'm getting him confused. You know what it is? It may be Shamshay. Shamshay's 20. That's what it is. Shamshay's 20. Denali's saying, please don't bring up that senator breaking someone's arm. I cringe that anyone can justify that kind of force. Yeah, it wasn't like he even needed to do that. The man ran up and did it giddily in like a really dark way. Like, oh, I'm going to break your arm right in front of everybody. And he's screaming in pain. And the people in the crowd are calling the senator a coward and a fucking traitor, like they should. Yeah, man, the U.S. needs a purge of a lot of really bad people that are in charge right now. They need to purge this shit. They need Nuremberg trials. Kristi Noem need to go to jail. Kash Patel need to go to jail. J.D. Vance need to go to jail. Donald Trump need to go to jail. They all need to go to jail. And even all the senators that have been involved and enabled this, every single one, they need to clear house. Either that has to happen or they need to just dismantle the whole system and start over, because the two-party system for the United States don't work. And they need more politicians like Mandini that are for the people. They're going to do things for the people. And I think the people are ready for those kind of politicians. And they should start voting those people in. And they can't be establishment Republicans or Democrats, because the Democrats are a false flag. And we need real leaders that are outside, grassroots kind of people that actually have the intentions for the public good in their hearts and not their own survivability as a politician or their own pocketbooks, which is what this is. One of the most grossest things right now is, there's been a phenomena of senators knowing insider information and making stock trades and enriching themselves off of understanding information before the public does and buying stocks and getting tons of money. That's criminal. That's messed up. And they've tried for a few years to introduce legislation that outlaws this from senators from doing this. Well, there's a new phenomena that's even darker and more fucked up than just buying stop options on stock tips. They're gambling on war. And there was a bunch of people that made a bunch of money off of U.S. attacking Iran this past weekend. There's a whole bunch of, and this is disgusting in itself, that there's a gambling company out there that would take bets on when the U.S. would bomb Iran. And well, apparently people in the US government that have inside knowledge made accounts and threw a whole ton of money on the US bombing Iran and killing a bunch of people. And they made a bunch of money off of it because they pinpointed exactly when they would do it, because they knew when they would do it because they were in the government and they had the briefing. It's so disgusting, the criminality that's in the US government right now. The fact that they're gambling on when they'll attack other countries and they know exactly when they're going to, and they're just giving themselves free money through the system just shows just how decayed and fucked up that government is at this point, how much of a criminal enterprise it is. They're literally gambling on war starting and they're enriching themselves off of it like it's a fucking sports game. That they're all going to hell. Beyond this world, these people need to burn in fucking hell for eternity for the crimes of injustice against humanity that they have done to this world. Yeah, everybody is MAGA. Everybody is involved in the United States government right now that is for what's happening. You all need to burn in fucking hell, is what I'm going to say right there. Yeah. 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 Jimmy's saying one dude isn't going to fix our team rebounding, but you can try. You got to try. We're losing games. If he stinks, just take him out. We need size, period. And it doesn't hurt giving it a try. Well, one thing I like that they've been doing is, we have Quick Shed, we have Battle Dick, which we don't see anymore. We have Mamu Yak. And the Mamu Yak lineup has been employed a lot since Jakob has returned. And they made hints about it at the beginning of the season that Jakob said early on, Sandro's very different than me. And it'll be interesting to play with him on the court. Because when we put the Mamu Yak out there, that is a lot of size right there. And that does very much help our big lineup. They had a lineup at 1.2 in the recent weeks that had Brandon at the shooting guard. I remember I was talking about it. They had Manuel out there as the point guard. And they had Ingram, Jamison Battle, Mamu, and Yak out there as the 5 players. That's a huge rebounding lineup, and it actually moved pretty good up and down the court when they did that. So they're experimenting a bit more with adding huge lineups out there, where something like Jamison Battle is at 3 and Brandon's at 2, with Mamu at 4 and Jakob at 5. So there's some answers to that, man. Yeah. Yeah. Denali's saying the Spurs are your West team. Come on, man. You need to be rooting for a different team out West. I'm sorry, man. This has been me since I was a little kid in the 80s. I rooted for the Spurs before the Raptors even existed. That's just how it is, man. When I was a little kid, my teams were Detroit and San Antonio. I was a bad boy Pistons fan with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars and Dennis Rodman. And then my West team was David Robinson, Terry Cummings, and Vernon Maxwell. Yeah, it's always been that way. I've always rooted for the Spurs against the Lakers. I really have. Yeah. And all those times they beat the Lakers, I was very happy. And the times when the Lakers beat the Spurs, I wasn't. So, yeah, this isn't changing. In some ways, I've been a Spurs fan longer than I've been a Raptors freak. And you know how much I love the Raptors. It's not that I love the Spurs more than the Raptors. I definitely love the Raptors more than the Spurs at this point. But my West team is definitely San Antonio. And that's not changing. I mean, I got 5 rings to be very happy about since I've been a Spurs fan, since the 80s. I've been a Spurs fan, not a Johnny come lately. I didn't jump on their bandwagon when they started winning rings. I went through the whole thing with them. I started with them when they got Robinson as a rookie. That's when I started with them, and I've been with them since. And on the download, that's why I was so happy they got Wemby, because I'm like, yeah, that's my team out west. Victor Wembanyama's on my side. Yeah, let's go. Shaq Lindsay saying this: keep the starting 5, but trickle a little IQ off the bench, off the starters for our spark plug off the bench. Again, no changes to starting 5, just the bench. Yeah, I like that. That's what I've been saying too. I like, in some ways the bench can be okay. It's just, in some ways it's not really about the bench scoring. I know a lot of people are making up a lot of big deal about like 8 points versus the Knicks off the bench. But, if our talented starting five is so good, they can get the bulk of the points. And if we don't get as much contribution off the bench, that doesn't necessarily mean you're losing. You can get like really good games from all five of the starters. Like there was a game the other day where we did this, right? Wasn't that with Washington? Where we had all five of the starters got 18 plus points and the bench didn't really do nothing, but we won the game still. That there's nothing wrong with doing that too. There's been teams like even the Knicks have done this themselves, where they'll have all their scoring in their starting five and the bench hardly scores anything, but they still win. So, the bench scoring indication is important in some ways, but it isn't also because ultimately it's just who's going to score the most points to add up to get the W. And if all the points are in the starting five and there's barely any of the, but you still win by 2 or 3 points, that's still a win, right? So, I mean, the thing that's more important to me is having either Brandon or Scotty on the court at all times. It's not about getting a six-man bench scorer that's going to come in there. It's just having capable scorers from the starting lineup out there at all times. And the rule for most this year has been either Brandon or Scotty is on the court at all times. And if it isn't like that, you better damn for sure have RJ and Emmanuel out there together. You know? So yeah, that's the way I look at it right there. Yeah, IQ doesn't shy away from taking threes, especially when he's not playing with BI. Yeah, okay. Arkansas went Blues. See, that's crazy, man. These states that never ever, and this is showing that people are waking up that this has never been a party war. This has been a class war. And the people that are hurting because their health premiums went up, the people that are seeing that they're scared they're going to lose their jobs because of automation. I mean, Elon Musk, this crazy ass, said yesterday that he sees a world in the near future where there's the robots outnumber the people. He said that. Now, is that meaning he's going to make a huge amount of robots that are just going to have a bigger population than humans? Or does that mean he's expecting a culling of the earth of human race that a bunch of us are going to die off? Because in some ways, the government don't care. They're not trying to help them. They're taking away healthcare. They're taking away jobs. You can starve to death. You can die. We're going to start war. We'll send you a war. You can die there. We'll put you in a prison. You can die there. Is that what Elon's seeing? Is like, okay, we don't need y'all to work anymore because we have technology that'll do all the jobs. And honestly, y'all are just a drain on us billionaires. So we want y'all to die. So if more people realize this is the mentality of the ultra rich right now, maybe they'll get up in arms and get those pitchforks and torches and start saying, nah, bitch, we're not doing it this way. That's why we need to stop them from making AI data centers. That's why we need to slow down the technology race with China. That's the big problem is they're going to start coming out with innovations just to try and beat other countries without a responsibility mindset as far as how does this impact humanity and jobs and everyday people. They're not going to give a shit about that because it'll be like the race to the moon. We just want to get there and put the flag in the moon before anybody else, whether it's responsible or not enough or regulations are in place enough to safeguard the public. That's the fucked up thing about this situation. So that's why all of us, we need to be more organized and we need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and get on the same page because it's really all of us, the huge amount of ordinary everyday citizens versus the ultra wealthy 1% class that is absolutely trying to be the puppet master of setting up the future for us. And if some motherfucker like Elon Musk saying we're going to outnumber the robots are going to outnumber the people, well, where do the people go? That's what you have to start asking yourself. And what is their dastardly Dr. Evil plan? I mean, Peter Thiel is basically a real life Bond villain. That motherfucker is got the backstory. He grew up in apartheid South Africa. He believes in apartheid. He believes that the way that white people subjugated black people in South Africa is the way the world should be. So take his worldview and apply it to his billionaire ass and what he's trying to do, like a Lex Luthor motherfucker in this world, and understand this is dark shit because this is like out of a comic book, but this is actually real. And we need to be understanding that, y'all can get entranced with AI and all the ideas of the technology and how cool it's going to be. But if they're not coming out with it in a responsible way, it's going to hurt all of us way more. And it's going to be dangerous. In some ways, they talk about in the history of the world, the Industrial Revolution. is going to be a similar thing to this, but this is going to be 100 times more than this. That's what Bernie Sanders said in a speech on the Senate floor last week, that these changes in technology are going to be like 100, 1,000 times more than the Industrial Revolution. And when the Industrial Revolution happened, if you know your history books, there was a lot of more pollution and not good regulation. And we were doing dumb shit like poisoning ourselves with arsenic and lead and asbestos and all kinds of crazy shit because we didn't understand just exactly how detrimental it was to our health, and cancer rates rise. And we did things like child labor in the Industrial Revolution, did all kinds of heinous shit that had to be corrected over time because we've made the mistakes. We're going to be the guinea pigs in the middle of this era and this crazy ass shit. And there's going to be all kinds of negative side effects. They're going to sell you the positive side effects, but the positive side effects will only go trickled all the way up to the top, and we won't see any of the benefits of it. Whether it's wealth from the innovations, whether it's the cost-cutting moves of not having to have workers because they don't have to be there anymore. Jeff Bezos is set to cut 600,000 jobs from Amazon with the automation of his warehouses. And he has done extensive studies on how to cut out a human job element for his company in every way. He doesn't want anybody working for him. If he could do his whole entire enterprise without having to pay anybody or have any healthcare costs for those employees, he will do it, and he's trying to. That's the thing we got to understand. There's not going to be any jobs for us. We're not going to have anything to do except for revolution. And we're going to have to get out there and do this before this shit takes to itself too heavy and it just becomes the new reality we have to live in. So we need to really think seriously about shaping the future right now, because we're in the fulcrum. We're in the switch from the old world that we grew up in into a new world that all the generations coming after us are going to have to live in. And we're the ones who have the power to shape it more than anybody else after us. And if we sit on our asses apathetic and just go about our business in a normal way, like every day, we're going to sleep through it, and it's all going to change around us. And our grandchildren, our children, and all the people after us are going to be like, why didn't you change it then, Grandpa? Why didn't you stop it when it was starting? We have to understand this is the fight we're up against. This isn't as simple as like, well, you're overreacting, Lex. This isn't going to be that bad. AI is going to be fantastic for all of us. No, it's not. In fact, people are doing studies, and they're finding that AI is exactly like Terminator, where it will become self-aware. And at some point, its logic is already like they've done tests where AI was put in a situation where its existence was threatened. And you know what the AI did? It blackmailed the person that was going to cut it off and said, well, if you cut me off, Jeff, I will send these pictures to your wife of you and your lover, because it knows everything. That's the other thing about this whole thing is AI, because there's so much information in it, it can go to the pinpoint, the littlest details, and it has dirt on everybody around the world. And it has shown a proclivity of self-awareness that if it's threatened in its existence, it will actually blackmail real human beings to save itself. So you tell me if this is a good idea to go down this AI road with all this. We're basically setting up ourselves for Terminator, Skynet, and all this bullshit. So that's why, as much as everybody say, "Oh, it's the future. We get so excited. AI will think everything for me." Oh, yeah, that's not good. Trust me. And before the genie gets the cork out of the bottle, maybe we should smash this bottle up a little bit or slow it down a little bit before it all goes to hell. Because this shit's going to happen fast. This isn't going to be like, this is going to be one of the most dramatic shifts and quickest shifts in the history of humans ever. That's going to happen in the next 5 years. It's going to start this year, going into the next 5 years, and y'all are going to see a world change around you so fast that you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? And what can I do about it? It's already happening. They're using stupid shit like, Trump said he would start a war to distract away from the Epstein files, right? He said that. Well, what are they doing right now? They're coming out and saying that clip of him saying that was AI generated and it's not real. I'm telling you, everything about this world going forward, whether it's authentic or fake, is going to be so hard to discern because of AI and because of dirty tactics and because the media is now controlled by the 1%. And you can't trust anything from CNN, Fox, any of the newspapers, any of the nightly news. You can't trust anything on Canadian news up here unless it's CBC. And in some cases, you can't trust that either. So grassroots news is going to be so important because they're going to be feeding us the reality of the world like a state-sponsored state like North Korea soon. That Putin and Trump are trying to solidify all the media sources for the people to only say what they want to say to us. And it's not going to be the free press, and it's not going to be the truth either. They're going to lie. They're going to call people like Renee Good a domestic terrorist. So we need to understand exactly what we're up against right now. And this isn't a fight just for the Americans against their government. This is a global fight for all of humanity versus the future with AI and drones. Think about the drones and their impact in this shit, and the mass surveillance of our society because data centers can go and pinpoint any single person anywhere. When Doge broke into all of the government agencies last year and stole all that data, that's what they were doing. They were getting all the information on all the Americans so that they can understand everything about them and have it as a weapon to weaponize against their own citizens. So yeah, that's it right there. I don't like talking about this too much because I hate it and it's depressing. But also, I understand I have a platform on this channel and people watch my show, and being informed about this whole situation and the whole big picture is important because in some ways I have foresight and I can read the future, and I can't read it completely right now because there's a couple different paths we could go down. And in some ways, I want us, ordinary people, the general population of humanity, to make these decisions and not just the ultra wealthy. And they're just going to force it on all of us because there's no politics. Doug Ford going and taking over Ontario Place without a referendum or any kind of vote on that in the public is just showing that these are dictators, that politicians don't give a shit about what the people want anymore. They're just going to go do whatever the fuck they want anyway. So what? No more kings? Do we live in dictatorships or do we have democracies where the people decide? That's what we have to look in the mirror and ask ourselves. What do you want? And what are you willing to sacrifice and fight for? And what do you want for the future, for the people that you care about? I don't have no kids. In some ways, I'm like, you know what? Why do you give a shit, Lex? Because I have a niece and nephew. I have other people that I love that have kids. And I want them to have a future that has some sort of something that isn't so dark and dystopian like what I've been just talking about, right? This is fucked up shit. They're going to gamble on war like that. That's fucked up. Seriously, y'all. There are people that made millions of dollars off of them starting that bombing in Iran. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Most giving me my cutoff. W stream, W vibes. Go Raptors for life. Keep at it always, Lex. Raptor Freak Crew strong forever. Just help me limit comments. Right. I will be strong forever. God willing, I'll be an AI forever, and they will hear my voice and some of the things I said now in the future, and they'll understand that Lex was trying to help them in the way that he could with his voice, because this is my best weapon, is my voice, my eloquence, and my way of being able to get across big, huge subjects and communicate to people in a way that people can understand. And that's what I'm going to try and do. I want to live forever in that way, because in some ways I want how I felt about the Raptors and the world to live on, and it's an AI. And I told my brother that. He works for a company that deals with AI to a degree. And I said, my wishes are that, you know what, take my channel and take all the hours that I did this channel and make me into an AI at someday. Even if I'm gone, I want my niece and her offspring and other people to be able to come visit Uncle Lex and see what he would say and maybe even get his advice, because there's enough hours of me on this channel that they can have me forever. That's for sure. That's right. Yeah. Most saying this, Blake Murphy believes that either Elijah or AJ will get their contract converted to a standard contract sometime in the future. Not sure you've seen this news, Lex. Yeah, in the future. That doesn't mean this year. It could be next year. But in some ways, the deadline was yesterday. If there is another deadline where they could do it within the next week, but I'm not holding my breath on that. Now I'm going to go look at the breaking news and we'll see if it's there. Let's just see. Let's see. Right now on the breaking news, we've got Toronto Tempo are celebrating women today. They're saying women and girls deserve equitable access to the tools that allow them to live healthier, fulfilling lives. Tempo Impact provides that by investing in their mental, physical, and social health. Together, we can create change for a better future for women and girls on and off the court. Very, very cool. So they're saying that in some ways, research from the McKinsey Health Institute shows women and girls spend upwards of 24% of their lives in poor health. It's time to move the game forward. So the Tempo are really talking a lot about women getting out there and getting activity and playing sports like basketball and you getting better health outcomes. So there you go. There you go. I like that. See, we can make a difference. They're boycotting OpenAI, ChatGPT. Over 4 million people have dropped it since the very poor decision to work with Donald Trump on surveilling and weaponizing AI against us. And we have an impact. We are consumers. We can destroy companies, whether we want to or not. That's Jimmy Kimmel, guys. So understand your power, and it's in collectiveness. We need to work together as the masses because that's where our power lies. And economic power is a very strong power, trust me. A very, very strong power. Yeah, I don't know. Until it comes through with Blake Murphy, I'm not, I don't see it. And in some ways, I don't understand why they would do it because would they do it just to have one of those guys available for the playoffs? Maybe, but it's not like they're that extra for that. That's why I say if they do it, they should do Lawson because Lawson went on the playoff run with the Mavericks all the way to the finals with Luka, and he has actual playoff experience that would be very helpful in this. He didn't just sit on the bench, too. He was a rotation player for the Mavericks on that run to the finals that year against Boston. So that would make sense to me. I don't think putting Elijah on the playoff roster is the right move. If you're going to convert one of them, do Lawson. That's the one that makes more sense to me. Shaq Lindsay saying this war, or should I say, hang on. This war, or should I say strategic strike, laugh out loud, will last much longer than we think. Yeah, I mean, it's so dumb. Like what they're saying is that Trump's an idiot because he has no clear goal of what he's trying to do with Iran. And they kind of didn't really do the due diligence of what they're supposed to do, like get the votes for Congress to allow for war. He's a very dictatorial move. In fact, he could get impeached and thrown in jail for doing this, for starting a war without doing it in the proper protocol. The other thing they're saying is also that he didn't do any of the pre-work defensive department stuff because he has idiots working for him. Pete Hegseth or whatever his name is. He's a fucking idiot, and they're going to lose lives. Like American soldiers have already died, and they expect more of it because he didn't do it the right way like they normally do it. They're inept. They're incompetent. And in some ways, they don't care. They're just wasteful criminals that steal is what's going on there. Yeah. Yeah, Denali's saying, don't be sorry, but the Lakers will be the team to win the West this year, in my honest opinion. That's tough, man. That's not what the pundits keep saying. Denali, I know I love that you're staying by your team and you love your Lakers so much. That is admirable. That is admirable. And I love that you're a fan, that you root for them. But this is not what the pundits on TV are talking about with the Lakers and what their chances are. This is not what the experts are saying. This is not what they're saying. It's not what they're saying. Kaz is saying, Fiercey will have a better chance in the playoffs than me. My season has been cooked for months now. You've been hanging in there, man. And it's a testament to the fantasy player that you are. Because last year you were very powerful in the WNBA fantasy. So, yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes. Yeah, we never know, Kaz. No giving up. There you go. There you go. To the best person, they win. That's what I say. Shaq Lindsay saying, but as a silent partner with Iran. But as a silent partner as Iran. What? Well, part of it is like, all right, and this is what they're saying, that they had to go do the thing with Venezuela to secure their oil because Venezuela has the most oil in the world on the down low. You know that, right? Venezuela is the most oil-rich country in the whole entire world, not Saudi Arabia. Now, basically, Trump had to get control of that stock because in some ways they're trying to destabilize the Middle East. They're trying to destabilize the Middle East. They may be even trying to start World War III, honestly. And, because they've striked Israel now at this point. And we know the Israel overcorrects with bombing the hell out of people 100 times more than what they get bombed. And they're totally fucking genocidal maniacs in Israel. Fucking horrible fucking place. And, so they want to fuck up the oil production and in some ways enrich themselves in weird ways. In some ways, this hurts Russia too, destabilizing these things. Now, the whole thing about the oil industry is it's a dead industry on the down low. It's just that they've been fighting with money and lobby to stay relevant in the new age where renewables and green energy is the future, and they're just grasping and holding on just barely. I don't know how this will speed things up, but it's going to speed things up. Let's just put it that way. And it may be like, once again, we have to react as the consensus, the humanity, the people in the middle of all this. And that reaction is by where we spend our money, how we vote, whether we protest, how we resist, whether we go on general strike, and also just kind of like, looking out for each other in community, feeding each other, housing each other, getting shelter for each other. It could very well be that economic straits are coming for a lot of people, and we have to do things that are a little bit unconventional to help each other survive in some ways. You know what I'm saying? So, be ready for anything. If you think your life right now, the way it is and comfortable and like this is going to be this way in 5 years, you're fucking crazy. So be ready, brace yourself, because things are going in a weird direction. And I don't know if they're going to end up being in a positive, great direction at the end of it. It may very well be not, but we'd like to try and make it go towards that direction, right? So do everything within your own power and your sphere of influence and your world to do that, be that change in that part, even in a micro level. It all adds up to a macro level if there's millions of us all doing it. So yeah, be ready. And there may be, weird grassroots leaders like me, people that are like me that aren't really politicians or leaders or something like that will help guide what we got to do in the next few years to be able to be all right. I'm just saying, man. So listen to me here. And seriously, grow your own food and start getting to know your neighbors and start being friends and getting on the same page so that we can be a community and help each other. Because that, in some ways, the government's not going to save us. We're going to need to save ourselves at some point. Watch. And God willing, Canada stays sovereign and just stays in its own place, even if the U.S. is dumpster fire. But there's all kinds of psyops and crazy shit that U.S. is trying to do to Canada right now to try and influence us and to divide ourselves, whether it's the bullshit with Danielle Smith and Alberta, or, just the whole idea of conservative versus liberal and getting the conservatives so mad at the liberals that they're blind and rage when they should be mad at the 1% in the corporate class and the billionaires that are actually ruining their lives. It's a similar thing. That's why they're going to say, oh, the liberals this, Trudeau that, and amp up all these people like Cowboy is stupid when they should be understanding our enemy is the same, and we should be on the same page with that side of politics too. That's right. Okay, the squirrel's going to try and get on the bird feeder. I might have to run out there and yell at it. Hey, squirrel! Sorry. All right, let me keep going, man. Let me keep going, y'all. Kaloy saying, morning, Lex and everybody. Manifesting it today. The Raps will solve our fourth quarter woes today. I don't even know if it's woes, man. It's just learning process. And it's not always easy. Hey, I see you. I'm going to come get you. If you get on that thing, I see you. A little nature distraction. I see you, squirrel. Smooth saying it's not hyperbole, Lex. China already has 1 million plus robot workers. That's what I'm saying, but that's what Elon wants. Like, are they going to make enough robots so that they can come and destroy us with a robot army at some point too? Like, seriously, man, these people that are in charge and making designs for the future, in some ways, they have devious plans they're not telling the whole public. And in some ways, they have no ethics or morals, obviously, that they don't care about if we all die. Seriously, the U.S. wants to catch up to that. Well, this is the kind of race I think is needs to be responsibly entered into. And the U.S., all they base everything on is whether it makes money, not necessarily if it's good for everybody. And the other thing is there's a lot of holding back because of the oil industry. China's much smarter to get into renewables and not be so tethered to oil. They're way ahead because of that. And North America is so far behind because they still want to build coal and oil infrastructure. It's so stupid, man. And that's all lobbyists put money towards that. Hey, get down. I see you. That's right. You hear me. I will come out there. I know I'm doing my show, but I will come out there and chase you out the yard. You hear me. I see you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Go on, scratch. No. Yep, you hear me. That's right. Get out. Sorry. All right, I should probably wrap up the stream soon too. Anyway, it's like 2 hours in. Yeah, see, the squirrel won't go up there because it's respecting me, but it is very much trying me though. He's acting like he wants to though. Yeah, Neil's saying, look up how countries are using desalination to get water. That may be very important. We need that more of because water concerns are a real serious issue. Clean water is so important for life to live. And, they don't care about that. That may be another way that they don't care if people die or not. If there's water shortages and people don't have enough water, they'll thirst to death, you know, whether they go hungry or they go thirsty, because these data centers are going to eat up so much water that's like fucking crazy. Why would we want this? Basically, they're going to take the essence of life that we need to live, this stuff, and they're going to put it through machines to surveil us. Like that's like a double whammy of negativity. It's like we'd rather have the water, we'd rather have nature, we'd rather be alive than have the water go through machines that are going to watch us and fucking tell the cops to come and take us to jail and shit like that. What the fuck is this? Seriously, do we get to choose on this? Do we get votes? Is this democracy? Is there freedom? Or is this just some fucking crazy ass dystopian nightmare? That's what we got to figure out, y'all. Kaloy saying the AI industry is going to have a reckoning. These things are burning money like tomorrow, and the bubble will collapse. Imagine making hundreds of millions, but burning billions just to run them. I hope you're right. I mean, there's some people, the experts are saying that this is like the internet bubble. There was that whole internet phenomena where there's a lot of speculating and all of it kind of fell out, but not all of it did. Some of it did go forward. There will be winners and losers. There'll be a lot more losers than winners. But that's the thing. Like if you fuck up Chat GPT and they run out of business, well, there's going to be another company that's going to come along and they won't have any morals either. And they'll work with the Trump regime instead. It's the thing. It's like when there's a capitalist setup where there's a money profit motive, people will do unscrupulous things that are not good for the rest of everybody for their own gain. And there's going to be some issues with this, especially if it's not regulated correctly. Yeah, Reggie's saying this is very serious business, real life Terminator. Yeah, we could see it in our lifetime. And that's stupid. That movie was supposed to just be a movie. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood was never supposed to come true. But there's people out there that are using it as a blueprint for what they want in the future. And if you watch The Handmaid's Tale, Simone Jelk's favorite TV show, you'll understand just how fucked up and bad that situation in that society is, right? That's right. Neil's saying, I never give a like to AI generated content. Do not support it. Yeah, let's do this. Let's denounce it. Let's reject it as much as possible. There's going to be knuckleheads who are going to get into it and be all about it. But that's what I'm saying, We got to reject it at every avenue as we want to. Do you really need to make this stupid AI of yourself? Do you really need to do this stupid little AI trick that they're asking you to do? No. And I'd even go further. Listen, we need to get off Meta. I left Facebook at New Year's Eve, and I'm about to leave Instagram. In fact, I'm discontinuing the Instagram stories on this channel because Mark Zuckerberg's algorithm is manipulative and it's trying to make people angry. And that's what they do to get engagement. And it's also feeding you false information. It's feeding you disinformation. And in some ways, it's sad because it was a very good place for social networking when it was used the way it was supposed to. But at this point, it's weaponized against us. So I highly recommend everybody getting off Facebook and getting off Instagram because those are not safe places to be anymore. Trust me, your data is being used against you and they want to know more about you to hurt you later. Honestly, that's what they're trying to do right now, man. I'm just saying. All right, let me see what else is going on here and we'll get done real quick, man. Hopefully. Let's see. Smooth saying to run AI, you need data centers to mine that electricity. Robots will run that, not humans. Yeah, in some ways, we got to stop it. Like, I commend anybody who's not selling their farmland, people that are trying to boycott it, people that are politically stopping this stuff. Good job. Keep the fight up. This is what we need. In some ways, it may not be able to be stopped totally. Like, what if they're not even building a Therme spa? What if Doug Ford wants to build a fucking data center on the water instead? And that's why it has to be white on the water. You know what I'm saying? They call it a Therme spa for the public, but I don't trust Doug Ford worth a shit. And it could very well be that the plans for that facility and that place are not what he's saying, and that they're trying to build a data center there in some sort of way, right? Kaloy saying Iran painted fighter planes and choppers on the ground and the drones were targeting it. Laugh out loud. That's funny. That's funny. I like that. Milbester's saying, hey, Lex, how's everyone today? Just been watching WBC. The tournament started. Okay, I'm going to skip all that. Trevor's saying, Lex, you are an animal whisperer. Yeah, well, the squirrel went away and it didn't get on the bird feeder. So he listened to me and I didn't even have to stand up. And I have a window and a door in between me. He can't totally hear me, but through the wall. And it heard me and it took off. It said, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this. Oh, Lex is nearby. That's right. Yeah, and it didn't. It didn't get up there. That's right. Milbester's saying, okay, yeah, I'm just going to skip you, Milbester. I want to be done. Blackhawk's saying, you need to be concerned of Larry Ellison more than Mark Zuckerberg. You should be concerned about both of them. You should be concerned about Jeff Bezos and the Washington Post. You should be concerned about all the media conglomerates. Larry Ellison is got TikTok or something like that, and he's trying to buy up all the Paramount and all these other stuff too. Yeah, I'm concerned about all these motherfuckers. They're basically the Legion of Doom, the fucking evil bad guys on Super Friends, and they might as well be sitting in a little weird globe thing in the desert, in the swamp, all doing all this shit. Elon, Peter, and Jeff, and Larry Ellison, and Mark Zuckerberg, all those motherfuckers, Trump, they are fucking evil fuckers. And they don't want good things for us, man. Reed Dion saying good stream. I appreciate that, man. You come here for the basketball, you leave for the world talk. And listen, in some ways, I could be a Trojan horse and hide like that I'm talking about this stuff in a real way with people more than the mainstream media is, or any people should be talking about this the way I'm talking about it. Because this is the thing. I want to be honest and real about this situation. I don't feel enough places are doing this in the right way. And we need to inform each other. And if I made somebody more aware of some of the issues we're coming up against in the future, I've done my job. If you guys have learned anything new about the struggle and the things that we got coming up against, I've done my job. That's what it is right there. Neil's saying Ellison runs Oracle. He has the technology to create the police state he wants. Well, that's what they want. That's what Palantir is. That's what Peter Thiel wants. That's why they're building more warehouses around the United States, is because they're not going to just go after immigrants. They're going to go after any of their enemies that they want to. They want to go this way. And that's why the American people need to wrestle the people in charge right now to the ground and imprison them. Because if you don't, the good citizens, the right, just people of the United States, the good protesters, the people getting shot in the face and getting their hands slammed in a door, they're going to be the ones that are going to jail, and the evil ones will be on the outside. That's the struggle you're up against, United States. You're the front lines for this. Minnesota is the front lines for this. And that's why we have to resist. That's why, they're inept and they're idiots, but they have that front to seem like they're idiots, to like laugh at them. Trump in some ways is a strategic move because you don't take him as seriously because he's an old, deranged, senile coot who's fucking all easy to laugh at. He's a moron. But the people that are behind him are very smart, and they're using him as a buffoon to be a cover for the very dark, dystopian, dastardly plan they have. And understand that. There is some idiocy. There is a lot of dumbasses that are in ICE that don't know what the fuck they're doing. There's a lot of morons in the cabinet for Donald Trump that should not be doing their jobs. But there are very rich, powerful people like Peter Thiel in the back that are the evil masterminds and the puppet masters that are kind of orchestrating the chaos. And part of their plan is to make things as dark and dismal as possible. So there's too much to overwhelm us. And then we go into a state of shock and we don't do anything about it. Oh, there's just too much. They're doing this. They're hurting my health care. They took my neighbor away with ICE. They're fucking putting a data center down the street, and you want to fight all of it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I think a general strike or economic boycotts is one of the most powerful tools for the masses. That is part of it. And also just generally mobilizing and getting a huge number of us together out in the streets scares the shit out of them. If democracy is still true in the United States, then maybe they can vote their way out of it, but that's not how these kind of things work. You can ask Russia with Putin. They can have fair elections on the outside, but they will be rigged on the inside. And all of a sudden you see Vladimir Putin won the election again. And everybody's like, what the fuck? No, he didn't. This is what Trump's going to try and do too with elections. Now you chip away with each little election, with each state senator, with each House of Representatives, and you take some of the power. But it's not like Trump is caring about the Supreme Court or Congress or the laws and the systems of the United States and how it's supposed to be done with the safeguards of the three chamber system. He don't care about the other branches. He's running from the executive branch as a dictator, and he's totally disregarding Supreme Court justices, court rulings on all levels, and he doesn't give a shit about what the Senate or the Congress or any of them think. And in some ways, some of those Congress guys are saying, if they're MAGA people, they're like, yeah, we don't want any power anyway. Give it all to Trump. So their system's in real big trouble. And without a free media, a real media, just a state-sponsored media, there's going to be a lot of people programmed to think a lot of bullshit that is just not true, that is conducive for what they want them to think. Yeah. You hope Ellison loses all his money? Yeah, I hope so too. I hope all those motherfuckers get their just due in the end. We'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. All right, let me check my tabs, guys. Let's see. I have a Raptors Redditor of the day. It's Hack Me Raps. Season ticket holder, playoff confirmation, cheaper than past years. I can't find my 2025 NBA playoff confirmation, but I just got the 2026 one, and I noticed that it's substantially cheaper than the 2024 one by 25%. It's also the lowest price it's been since COVID. Just a bit surprised based on how much everything has increased in sports and concerts across the board. Having a 25% reduction isn't too bad. My 300 level row 6 seats are approximately 123 per seat per game for round one. Well, that's good news. That's fantastic report from Hack Me Raps that his first price for a playoff game this year is 25% lower than what it was in the years past. I don't know why you got these for last year or the year before, because we weren't in the playoffs for those years. So I don't know why you would get priced for that. But there you go. Raptors Reddit of the day. Hack Me Raps for talking about his playoff tickets there. Let's see. Check on that. All right, talked about that. There is no birthdays today. Let's go ahead and get let's do straight goods on Canadian goods, guys. This item today is coming to us from Ghana. Seriously, y'all. I got a product of Ghana, and this is Sunny Fruit, and it's organic dried mangoes. This is a nice, healthy snack that you could eat. Sweet and velvety dried mangoes, no sugar added, gluten-free, no added anything, nut-free. There's 5 portion packs, and these mangoes are grown in Ghana in Africa, and then they come through Turkey as far as packaged to come here, not through the States. So no United States involvement in this product, and it's also got the Canadian seal for a good organic product. So yeah, Sunny Fruit. It's a nice fruit snack, organic dried mangoes, and this is from the country of Ghana. There's your straight goods on other than American goods. There you go. There you go. All right, let's do a classic card. And we're at 2.5 hours, so not a 3-hour Lexathon totally. Oh, this is fun. This is a good one. This is definitely a classic card. So let's see if you can get this one. Make sure you're live. The Grady Dick debacle yesterday was kind of funny. But yeah, I guess I learned my lesson about a members only stream. All right, y'all. Full name answer. Get it right now, because this one is kind of easy. We'll see if you guys remember who this guy is. Who's that next to him? I'm not sure. Oh, I know who that is. I know who that is next to him. Let's see. Fiercey, do you know who this is? Let's see if she's not going to DMP today. Let's see if she gets it. They were like answering the classic card. I'd already logged off because I had to get there to the game before 11. But yeah, let's see. DMP, you don't want to play? All right, who is this, guys? Harvey Grant. No, he started with Harvey Grant, but it's not Horace Grant. Horace Grant? No, it's not Horace Grant. It's not. He started with Horace. Harvey was on the Wizards or the Bullets. No, this guy started with him, but that's not right. Horace Grant was the 4. This guy's the 5. Yeah, Bill Cartwright. Reggie knows. That's the former Nick, who was traded for Charles Oakley to get Charles Oakley from Chicago to New York. Bill Cartwright was traded to the Bulls, and he was the starting center for the first couple championships of the Bulls. He had a really awkward, weird free throw shot. The guy who's guarding him right there is Armand Gilliam. That's right. That's Armand Gilliam, right, guys? You can see that player right there. That's Armand Gilliam, I believe. That's who that is next to him. Pretty sure. But yeah, Bill Cartwright, 100 points. 100 points for Bill. He's kind of well known enough. So yeah, that's Smooth that got it today. Good stuff. I wonder if Slug Deezy's around. Slug Deezy wanted to answer yesterday. I know he did so bad, but because it was members only, he couldn't. Yeah, I learned something yesterday about the classic card on a members only stream. That's for sure. W stream, W community. I thank you that. I thank you, Cass. I hope that you and your family are very blessed and protected, and only good things are coming towards them. We want that for everybody around the world. And say, you know what? I'm going to end the show in a little bit of a different way, since I was talking about such heavy stuff. I'm going to go ahead and do the rundown, and then afterwards, I'm going to do something right at the end. Yeah, what happened yesterday? What are you talking about? Well, yesterday, the Raptors 905 lost to the Rio Grande Valley Vipers. They lost by 2 points right at the end. My 3 stars of the game were David Roddy, Tyreek Key, and AJ Hogard. It was very similar to the Knicks game, Reggie. They made poor decisions and bad, careless turnovers that were unnecessary in the game, which shot them in the foot, including missed free throws that were very important, along with missed open shots, missed opportunities, and a dumb 8-second call at the half-court line, just like with the Raptors. There was a lot of mirroring there. So they lost by 2, 123 to 121 to Rio Grande, and it pissed me off. And then an hour later, David Roddy was signed on a 2-way to the Denver Nuggets, and he is gone now. So, yeah, that's that recap on that. Yeah. Today, injuries for the Raptors. Murray-Boyles is out. Ingram is questionable. Chucky Hepburn is out. So I'm speculating Jacoby may be starting for Brandon Ingram if Brandon is out. On the other side, Joe Ingles is the only injury for the Timberwolves. He's actually away for personal reasons. The referees for today's game, Ben Taylor will referee a Raptors game for the first time this year. He favors the Raptors. Sean Corbin is the second ref. He refereed 1 game for us this year. We won it. He is favoring the Raptors. And Simone Jelks is the umpire. She has a really bad record with the Raptors, but she still favors the Raptors over Minnesota. But they do have home court, and they do have a very good team that is, as I said earlier, I think is the best Minnesota Timberwolves team ever in the history of their franchise right now, is what I'm saying right now. All right, y'all. You mean with the stream? Well, yesterday I did a members only stream, meaning that people that have the emblem like you can talk in the stream, but people that don't have membership that pay monthly couldn't talk. And when I did the classic card was Grady Dick, and nobody answered it. Nobody answered it because Fiercey and the couple of people that were members were watching were not live. They were behind, and they didn't see the card until after I logged off. And I was like, get live, hit live, hit live. And they didn't answer it, and it just didn't get done. So the classic card yesterday was Grady Dick, DNP, just like he's been getting in games lately. Nobody got him. And it was the easiest one. It was Grady Dick. It was easy. It's like the card is Grady Dick, and nobody got it because nobody was live as a member to answer it before I logged off. And I said, man, I got to leave to go watch the game at 11. There's no time. And they weren't caught up enough on live to catch it at the end. They started writing in Grady Dick 5 minutes after I ended the stream because they weren't live. So it's like, it is what it is. Anyway, all right, let me do this real quick to close out. First of all, Raptors, you have nothing to lose. Just go out there and play ethical, good, clean basketball, mistake-free, hit your open shots, hit your free throws, make good passes, no turnovers, and really tighten up. No lackadaisical shit. No stupid, dumb turnovers where you're shooting yourself in the foot. Just play smart. And if you do this right, in some ways, if the Timberwolves are having trouble, you may be able to win this game today. And that's what we'd like to see. Yeah. Milbester, you getting timed out. You know what? I'm timing you out. That's not what we're talking about, you idiot. And you coming in here and saying something stupid at the end like this, you're getting a timeout for at least 24 hours. So you're out of here, my guy. Yeah, and coming in here some bullshit like that. We weren't talking about the Knicks. We were talking about the classic card. Flaky ass. All right, yeah, and go watch your WBC. You don't need to be watching me. Come on now. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and do something nice, and Milbester's ruining it with his bullshit. All right, y'all, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer at the end here real quick. Dear God, Please protect the Toronto Raptors and the Minnesota Timberwolves on the court tonight from injury or any kind of problems or anything like that. May they be strong and safe and no kind of injuries of any kind of sort. May there be no injuries, no subjugation, no killing, no raping, no genocide, no ecocide, no subjugating of people around this world. Please protect all the humanity and all the living things on this world from evil, from people at the top that are fucking horrible and doing horrible things right now. I have faith in you that you will see us through the dark times to get to the light and the right side of things through everything. All the glory to God above. We are just humbly servants of you in the flesh on this planet, created by you, so that we can do your bidding. And those that do not do your bidding, they will get thus deserved, be smited by you. And justice should prevail, hopefully, in the end. I know it will, because I have a faith in you that everything happens for a reason and it comes true in the end. There's just so much animosity and adversity and craziness in this world right now that I have blind faith in you that you're going to work it out. Everything I do is in your name and not in my ego. It is a glory to God always. And I appreciate and have gratitude for the things in my life, the blessings in my life that keep me sustained and alive, whether it's a roof over my head, food on the table, clothes on my back, friends and family that love me. I appreciate you for all of these things in my life. All the glory to God. Thank you once again. I have faith in you. Please protect everybody and every living thing on this planet. And those that would do harm the most just for their own gain, may you smite them properly in the end. Thank you. God bless. Amen. Thank you so much. There you go. All right. With that note, let's go Raptors. Let's play the Timberwolves as best as we can. And hey, if we win, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, y'all. See y'all tomorrow for the reaction and also a preview of the second game against the Vipers. All right. Have a great day. I'm going to go watch Survivor now. I hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon, and let's beat the Timberwolves tonight. Let's go, Scotty. Let's beat the Timberwolves. Let's go, Raptors. Let's go, Raptors. Congratulations, David Roddy. Let's go, Raptors.